Little Truck City is your old school mom and pop style dealership that's family owned and operated. We specialize in 4-wheel drive trucks, but don't worry, we have cars and SUVs too. Looking to sell your vehicle? Bring it by Ellis Autoplex, where we pay fair market value and we cut you a check on the spot. Need your vehicle service or repair? We can handle that too. Shop us online or set your appointment at ellisautoplex.com. That's ellisautoplex.com.
In farming, timing matters.
Plant too early and you're in trouble.
Wait too long, you miss the season.
Guys, it's the same thing with proposing. Now is the time.
It's Juniker Jewelry's annual Bridal and Wedding Ring Show, March 20th through April 4th. I'm John Ravenstein, third generation in 50 years here at Juniker's.
And I'm Corey Ravenstein, fourth generation. Trying to convince the older generation that mules might be great, but air-conditioned tractors are the way forward.
Well, guys, here's a kick from this old mule. Bring your honey and bring your money to Juniker's Bridal and Wedding Ring Show, featuring the largest selection of diamonds, engagement rings, and wedding bands in the state.
All at the best prices of the year. So the more you love, the more you save.
Juniker Jewelry's annual Bridal and Wedding Ring Show, March 20th through April 4th. Guys, your season is now.
Juniker Jewelry Company, Mississippi's direct diamond importer. 1485 Highland Colony Parkway, just south of 463 in Madison, and junikerjewelry.com.
Got electrical problems? Marty Cowden and Cowden Electric are here for you. Cowden Electric is your trusted electrician, serving the Jackson area for 3 decades. Electrical repair, service, and home rewiring are just the start of what Cowden Electric can do. Cowden Electric also installs generators to keep your power going when everyone else's lights are out. Plus, LED lighting, remodels, new construction, no job is too small. Visit CowdenElectric.com today to see all that they do. Cowden Electric, powering your home and business.
Ladies, tired of running on empty, sleepless nights, mood swings, stubborn weight, skin that has lost its glow? It is not just getting older. It is your body begging for help. Hey, y'all, I'm Morgan at Women's Wellness of Mississippi. At Women's Wellness of Mississippi, we bring it all together. Hormone therapy, medical weight loss, and the latest, greatest aesthetic treatments like facials, lasers, Botox, and so much more. This is where wellness and beauty meet so that you can feel amazing inside and out. At Women's Wellness of Mississippi, the best version of you is waiting right around the corner.
Broadcasting live from the Men's Health and Women's Wellness of Mississippi studios. This is the Clay Edwards Show.
Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show here live on 1039 WYAB, streaming worldwide on the Mazda Jackson live stream. We do have it up and running. Not quite sure what I was doing wrong. I think I was trying to send it to TikTok, and we are unallowed to send to TikTok. So we will not be using TikTok anymore as a live stream platform. My language and the things I like to say and do and get away with are not allowed on the TikTok. So we will not be streaming the TikTok. However, we have picked up Kick and Twitch, as well as we are on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, X, Rumble. We're everywhere. If you miss it live, you can find the clips. I always just recommend going and watching it on YouTube, but to each their own. Real quick, we got Scott Gilbert queued up. We're about to get him in here. Before we get started, Men's Health in Mississippi. Text Clay, 601-800-5130. 601-800-5130 for your complimentary testosterone screening today. Can't go wrong there. All right, man. Let me pull Scott in here. Hey, Scott, you there?
I'm here, man.
Hey, man. Sorry, I had a little, I want to call it a technical issue. I had a user issue in myself. Not quite sure what I was doing wrong this morning, but I couldn't get my live stream up and going. I had to close out my window and kind of just restart the whole thing. So I appreciate you getting up and joining us today. Man, so you had a pretty big weekend. I'm sure, well, you had a big Friday, which I'm sure just led to a big weekend. First off, congratulations on the huge win. Always a big win anytime anybody beats the federal government in trial. What do they got, about a 95% win percentage on trials?
If you count the guilty pleas, yeah. No, that they do well. And that's by design, you know. So yeah, they normally win.
Yeah, well, look, congrats. I bet Ted had his best night's sleep in 4 or 5 years, but his family did too. And man, that's a terrible thing to have to go through, you know, when you're innocent.
Well, it's that's sort of the harder part of my job. You know, America's unique in the fact that a criminal defendant, when they're acquitted, just sort of has to go back to their life. In England and a lot of other developed countries in the world, there's actually a system in place where acquitted defendants get reimbursed, at least in part, for what they've had to pay out for legal defense and things like that. So it can be particularly harsh if and when somebody's acquitted. They sort of have to pick up the pieces and start over. But look, he'll be fine. He's an energetic guy, and I'm sure he'll find something to do to support his family in a less controversial way.
You and I are both wrestling fans, and I teased you a little last night that I was going to hit you with a little, kind of start things off on a lighter note, hit you with a little wrestling question. Now, I mean, you don't have to confirm or deny, but I know we got a lot of wrestling fans in here this morning. Could we potentially see a Ted Jr. run in at WrestleMania between Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton?
That's a great question.
Reunion?
It's a great question. Randy was on the phone the other night on Monday Night Raw talking to somebody about being family. So I guess we'll have to wait until April 19th or 20th.
More
to
than
find
one
out.
royal family in the wrestling business.
I think that's what he said.
Look, all joking aside, I listen to Busted Open Radio on XM, the wrestling channel, a good bit. And a lot of the callers there kept saying Ted Jr. I was like, man, I don't know. He's got that thing going on, but boom, the not guilty's come down. He's free. The schedule is available. The schedule's open. I'm just saying. I'd love to see it. I'm trying to will this into existence is what's going on there. All right, man. So look, anyway, I couldn't be happier for the guy, what that family's been through to get on the other side of this. So look, man, so I was looking at this stuff. So they got 13 different accusations against him. And I was blown away when I saw that they were talking about potentially up to 185 years in prison for this stuff. Man, I just can't imagine the weight of that on somebody. Tell us how you got this win, brother.
Well, trying cases is 100% about how you communicate with a jury. And so, when I was still a law student, had the opportunity to work for the DA's office in Rankin County for the entire 3 years I was in law school. And, my first mentor is a guy named Mark Ray, who's probably tried 500 cases in his career. And Mark taught me right out of the gate that the way you approach this is you start at the end and then you work back to the beginning. So you start with the result that you want from the jury, and then you build your case backwards to the beginning. So you've got a path to get to the results you're looking for. And so, I was always curious about why it was that, the indictment alleged that he did no work at all. Because when we got the discovery and of course, in talking to him even before he was indicted, it was pretty clear to me that he stayed pretty busy. He did a lot of stuff. He was there all the time. He was on the road all the time, and he was doing a lot of things all the time. And all the things that we saw were things that were certainly beneficial to the mission of what they were calling Families First at the time. And that's, an important aspect of the case as well. But, the part I was obviously concerned about were the contracts and the language in the contracts. But as we dug more into the evidence and realized that, most of these contracts, if not all of them, were drafted by state government employed lawyers. And so we felt like it would be difficult for the jury to look at the volume of work that he had done and then recognize all of the players that were involved that were presumptively trustworthy. We thought they'd have a hard time finding him guilty under those circumstances.
Wow.
And so that's sort of the route we took. We ignored all of the salaciousness and all of the innuendo and, all of the sort of appeals to emotion that were present in the prosecution's case. And we just stayed focused on what we thought really mattered.
Well, I was having conversations with people, and this has always been the thing when this whole thing first came out. And I'll tell people all the time, there's things that I just say are above my pay grade. And I try to just kind of let play out. A lot of people have been on me, Clay, why ain't you been talking about the DiBiase trial? Why ain't you been talking about the DiBiase trial? Because don't know that I 100% understand all the nuts and bolts of it. And I'd rather just not talk than sound stupid. And a lot of people should try that. And at times it would do this country a lot of good, especially all these wannabe journalists on X and all these independent journalists who, I don't know, just in my opinion, you can't be a professional about everything. You can't be an expert about every topic. You just can't be. It's not how life works. But so I try not to be an expert on every topic. But from day one, when this whole thing went down, I just thought to myself, Scott, I was like, it's just like with Brett Favre. I was like, man, he got paid by the state of Mississippi, not by a third party vendor here, by the state of Mississippi agreed to give him this money, signed off on everything. He did the work in the contract. I mean, I guess somebody said maybe there was a few obligations that weren't met, but that, even if so, that feels more of a civil matter than a criminal matter. And then we're sitting here saying, well, this man partook in stealing $3 million because, and you can agree that he got overpaid, whatever, but that's what they agreed to pay him. The state said, yeah, sounds good. Who do we make the check to? You could offer me $3 million to run some ads on the Clay Edwards show. I'm going to say, yeah. Now, we don't take state dollars here at the radio station. That's a radio station policy, not a Clay Edwards policy. If it was a Clay Edwards policy and the state of Mississippi said, Clay, we want to run $3 million to do a PSA about whatever. You know, they do a lot of silly PSAs here in the state that they pay other stations to run. It's not against my moral high ground to not take that money. But then later on, they come back and say, well, hold on now, you partook in fraud taking that money. Well, hold on now, you reached out to me and you gave me the money. I can't help that you paid too much. That's what you agreed to pay for. It's worth whatever somebody's willing to pay for it. I don't know. That was always my philosophy on this, just bringing it down to the most elementary level I can for people to understand. And then it's like they had buyer's remorse at some point, or because it became politicized, it was like, well, now it's politically advantageous to go after these guys. You know, so they had to eat that.
Well, you know, it's you make a lot of good points, Clay, and I guess what's important is really the environment. And I talked about this in the closing argument, the environment in which Teddy was recruited into this. And so, you know, a lot of this was done before John Davis ever met anybody named DiBiase. You know, this was during President Trump's first term, and a big priority was to reduce the size of government. Well, MDHS is the biggest agency in the state of Mississippi. I mean, between the state and federal funding, it's got a $3 billion a year budget. And so, you know, thousands of employees. And it's an agency that we don't think about very often at all, you know, and so it kind of flies under the radar. And so what happens here is you've got a guy in John Davis who started literally at the ground floor 27 years ago and worked his way all the way up to deputy director. He was a subject matter expert in virtually every aspect of that agency. He had worked at the county level. He'd worked in the state office. He'd run programs, policy. And so he was recognized, and rightly so, as an expert. I mean, if somebody needed an answer, John Davis knew it. And that's the truth. I mean, he did. And so the director retires, and you know, the governor appoints John Davis to take his place. And look, you can't find fault with that. I mean, you've got a guy who's been a successful employee for 27 years. He was successfully the number 2 man at the agency. And when the director retires, you've got somebody right there that ought to be able to step in and run the agency successfully. You know, unfortunately, in hindsight, you look back and you realize that John Davis really wasn't equipped to do that because of a number of character flaws. But, you know, to the point, we're in the first President Trump administration, and the big priority is let's reduce the size of government, which is wonderful because the government's entirely too big. And so one of the ideas that the governor had was, look, what can we do to reduce the size of MDHS while still providing the services? And so, you know, he tells John Davis, basically, look, I want you to look into a way to privatize as many of your services as you can. Well, at the same time, the news media had started writing stories about TANF money. Back in 1996, the federal government changed what we know as welfare to TANF, temporary assistance for needy families. And even though that's the name of the program, it's really a misnomer because TANF gives states wide discretion in how they can administrate that money. Now, there are a number of states that still use it just like traditional welfare. They give cash assistance to people that come in and apply and qualify for it. Mississippi doesn't do that. In 2016,
let's pause right there.
Bud.
We got to take our first break here with you. We'll be back in 4 minutes. I want to pick right back up here at the misnomer of TANF, and that'll be our pickup point. We've got Scott Gilbert here on the stream with us this morning on the Clay Edwards Show. Scott was the lead attorney for Ted DiBiase Jr. in the welfare fraud trial here in Mississippi that wrapped up Friday. We're going to take our first break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on 103.9 WYAB.
Keep it tuned here to 103.9 WYAB.
This is Central Mississippi's Stimulating Talk.
103.9 WYAB. Pocahontas, Jackson.
Acme Pizza and Daiquiris is leveling up. A whole new Acme Pizza and Daiquiris is now open at the Reservoir at Beethoven's Boardwalk in Ridgeland, right next door to Cock of the Walk. And the new Acme Pizza and Daiquiris will have all of your old favorites too, like the Acme Dynamite Balls and Garlic Knots, and the best specialty pizzas ever, like the Pig, the Sergeant Pepperoni, the Serpent Turf, and lots more. Come to the all-new Acme Pizza and Daiquiris location on the Res in Ridgeland, next door to Cock of the Walk.
For decades, you've known the name Martin's for good times, great food, and the best live music. Now that's happening at 2 locations, downtown Jackson and Livingston. Check the websites, martinslivingstonms.com and martinsdowntownjxn.com for the many special events and live music lineups. You can chill with friends on the big patio at the Livingston location and enjoy the blue plate lunches and nightly drink specials. Martin's, downtown and Livingston.
Hi, Kim Wade here. Are you craving a home-cooked meal without the hassle? Come over to McBee's Bar and Grill in Ridgeland for their Blue Plate Lunch Specials. Served up every weekday, at McBee's is a different entree every day. Chicken spaghetti on Mondays, beef tip Tuesday, pork chop Wednesday, spaghetti Thursday, and catfish Fridays. And McBee's Blue Plate Lunch comes with 2 classic Southern sides and cornbread or a roll. McBee's specials are served every weekday from 11 to 2. McBee's, buzzing the Reds since 1982.
When leaks, clogs, or cold showers slow you down, call on Anglin Plumbing, the plumbing experts who get the job done right the first time. Leaky faucet, sink, or toilet? Need a water heater installed? Call on Anglin Plumbing. You can always trust Anglin's reliable and hardworking technicians. Don't let plumbing headaches ruin your day. Call on Anglin Plumbing Service to get it fixed. And you can be a part of the team. Anglin Plumbing is now hiring. Learn more about Anglin Plumbing at anglinplumbing.com.
Get ready, Mississippi. You're invited to Cameron's Garage, Claws and Clovers on Saturday, March 28th. Kick things off with brunch from 10 to 2. Then stick around as the crawfish boil starts at 2 p.m. Fresh, hot, and full of flavor. And that's not all. Live music from Burnham Road. So bring your crew and get ready to party. Great food, cold drinks, live music, and St. Patty's vibes all day long. Cameron's Garage, where the party never stops. Cover starts at 6. Don't miss it.
When it's time to get serious about work-ready equipment, come see me, Noah Sullivan, at H&H Chief Sales in Carthage. From rugged Big Tex trailers to durable CM and Legend X truck beds, H&H has what your truck needs to work harder and last longer. For the field, H&H carries reliable ag equipment from Salford, New Leader, and Chandler. Visit H&H Chief Sales in Carthage today or anytime at hhchiefsales.com. H&H, quality equipment, knowledgeable service, and solutions that work as hard as you do.
Your pool should be something you enjoy, not something you fight with. Hi, I'm Darren with Elite Pools. At Elite Pools, we do more than just service. We take care of everything your pool needs, from your routine maintenance to your full repairs, upgrades, and even complete transformations. If your pool needs a little attention or a fresh start, then Elite Pools can bring it back to life. Visit Elite Pools online at elitepoolsms.com. That's elitepoolsms.com. Or give us a call. At Elite Pools, we keep you swimming.
Looking to make technology work for your business instead of the other way around? Visit brentech.ms today. From reliable network infrastructure and wireless internet to cloud or on-premise backups, Brentech has solutions that keep your business connected, secure, and running smoothly. Don't let tech headaches slow you down. Discover how BrenTech can simplify and elevate your business at brentech.ms. That's brentech.ms. BrenTech, technology made easy.
Broadcasting live from the Men's Health and Women's Wellness of Mississippi studio. This is the Clay Edwards Show.
Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show here live on 103.9 WYAB. Real quick before we get back to Scott Gilbert, lead defense attorney for Ted DiBiase Jr. This segment brought to you by our friends over at Ellis Autoplex. You can check those guys out online at ellisautoplex.com or in person right there on Highway 471. Little Truck City, as we call it. They got one of the largest selections of pre-owned four-door, four-wheel drive pickups with a heavy emphasis on your F-150s. More so than just about any dealership in the state, I would say. They doesn't have a blue oval out on the front of it. And hey, maybe more than some of those. Heck, I would just about guarantee it. Anyhow, you can check them out online at ellisautoplex.com. Swing by, see them in person, Highway 471, Flowood, Mississippi. Of course, don't forget, they buy vehicles too. And over there on their website, you can get pre-approved. You can schedule an appointment, or you can just show up and tell them Clay Edwards sent you. That's Ellis Autoplex. And hey, by the way, speaking of them, if you want to text in the show, you got any questions for Scott Gilbert or myself concerning this topic, or any questions you want me to ask Scott, should I say, shoot me a text, 769-241-1944, 769-241-1944. And of course, if you're watching on the Mazda Jackson live stream, you can drop your questions there, and anyone I feel appropriate will get asked to the attorney here. All right, Scott, appreciate you sitting on hold with me there. They got to pay the bills, as they say. Right. So picking back up at the TANF situation, and the states kind of getting it and doing with it as they kind of wish. So I think that's where we left off at.
Yeah. So I think the overarching point is that Mississippi had decided a long time ago that it was going to focus its efforts on programs for people to try and help people get off of entitlements and dependency on the government, things like that, as opposed to just giving out cash assistance. And so in 2016, we were able to show the jury that 10,000 plus people applied for TANF cash assistance to MDHS, and barely over 100 people actually were approved and received it. And so they really weren't using this money until John Davis became executive director, and the MDHS decided to take a swing at privatizing a lot of its services. There was a lot of news coverage around 2016 about how the state wasn't using its TANF money. TANF money comes from the federal government every year automatically, and if you don't spend it within 3 years of receiving it, you have to send it back. And there was a pretty significant amount of TANF money that wasn't being used year over year. And so. Go ahead.
I was just saying, I bet so. If it had been sitting there kind of not being used, only 100 families have been approved for it. It should have been probably tens of millions of dollars sitting there.
Right. And so listen, and there were other uses for it. I mean, there were a number of people that applied for sub-grants. There are some wonderful organizations, children's mental health organizations and other nonprofits out here that do phenomenal work that were grantees and received, some amount of TANF money every year. Over the course of time and do wonderful work with it. But for the most part, the largest portion of it was going unused. And so it was a readily available pot of money, if you will, to try and facilitate this effort to privatize. Well, all of this happens before Teddy DiBiase ever comes into the picture. And so John Davis decides what he's going to do is he's going to stop giving TANF money out through MDHS directly to a multitude of different organizations, and he's just going to focus on two. And those are our two organizations, the Mississippi Community Education Center in Jackson and the Family Resource Center in Tupelo. And basically he goes to these two organizations and tells their directors, instead of getting $1 million a year in TANF money, you're both going to get $20 million a year in TANF money. And, the Tupelo organization, you're going to be MDHS in the north, and the Jackson organization, you're going to be MDHS in the South. And those folks were overwhelmed. Essentially it was, okay, boss, what's the plan? And John Davis, and I'm paraphrasing, but basically he says, well, I just told you what the plan was. You're going to be MDHS for the North and you're going to be MDHS for the South. Go make it happen. And so it was a disaster from the get-go.
And
with the way he handled it.
The one in Jackson's the one that was ran by Nancy New?
Yes.
Okay.
And so, it's a disaster from the get-go. You take these folks that are used to running these relatively smallish organizations, and you increase their size 20-fold overnight with no real direction whatsoever. And so, obviously they set about trying to do what they were directed to do. And so at some point, Teddy meets John Davis just through happenstance, essentially. And then John Davis offers Teddy the opportunity to do leadership training. And that's what Teddy was doing as a profession. He was an executive vice president for a major insurance company doing employee development and leadership training as a full-time job. And so that's really how it gets started. And in every instance, the evidence was just absolutely clear. Teddy never asked for an amount of money. Teddy never asked for a particular contract or an assignment. In every instance, it was John Davis approaching Teddy and saying, okay, we want this project done. I'd like you to do it. This is what we're going to pay for it. We'll have our lawyers draft the contracts. And so because the money's flowing down to these two nonprofits, the contracts are actually with these nonprofits. And so in every instance, you've got these contracts drafted by lawyers. Some of them, or if not all of them, are drafted by lawyers that actually work at MDHS. And so all of this stuff is reasonably, appears to Teddy like, well, look, all these lawyers are handling it. I don't need to get a lawyer to look at it. John Davis is the expert of experts. And so that's kind of how this starts, right? I mean, Teddy's solicited, he's offered an opportunity to do something that he's already doing for a really good amount of money, but an amount of money he didn't ask for or solicit. It was what was offered. And then he set about to try and do it. And what Teddy learned, which is what a lot of people learn who have absolutely no experience with the government, is that the best intentioned people will be chewed up and spit out by the government bureaucracy. And so a lot of that, is what we see here. And so that's sort of the genesis of it and how it starts. We've got an effort to privatize, to reduce the size of government. The execution was terrible. And then Teddy's, offered an opportunity that I think, to your point, I don't know that anybody would have turned down. And then realizes as he gets in that John Davis has got different ideas. And so that's the context that it happens in. And part of the government's theory of the case was that the privatization was part of the plan, the scheme. But the problem with that argument is all that happened before John Davis knew Teddy DiBiase existed. And so that was, I thought, going to be problematic for the government, and apparently it was. But so that's where we started. That's how we got into Teddy DiBiase being involved with MDHS and these nonprofits.
But let's, because at the end of the day, we are a radio show before a live stream, guys. So everybody watching on the live stream, bear with us. We got to take a quick break. We'll come back. It'll be a short segment. Then we have our top of the hour news. We've got Scott here. Scott, you're good till 9 o'clock, right?
Yeah, I'm good for as long as you need me.
Okay, great. We got Scott till at least 9 o'clock. And y'all sit down, buckle up. We got a full show with him. Please get your questions in. Scott, we'll pick up right back there. I got a few things I want to ask about that too when we come back. This is the Clay Edwards Show, 103.9 WYAB.
Keep it tuned here to 103.9 WYAB.
When leaks, clogs, or cold showers slow you down, call on Anglin Plumbing, the plumbing experts who get the job done right the first time. Leaky faucet, sink, or toilet? Need a water heater installed? Call on Anglin Plumbing. You can always trust Anglin's reliable and hardworking technicians. Don't let plumbing headaches ruin your day. Call on Anglin Plumbing Service to get it fixed. And you can be a part of the team. Anglin Plumbing is now hiring. Learn more about Anglin Plumbing at anglinplumbing.com.
It's road trip season again. Is your vehicle ready? Take your vehicle to Green's Tire and Auto on Ridgewood Road in Ridgeland to get it in tip-top shape before you head out of town. Don't get stranded while you're away from home. Preventative maintenance is their specialty at Green's Tire and Auto. And if your check engine light is already on, then Green's Tire and Auto can tell what's wrong and get it fixed. Before you start your road trip, take your car to Green's Tire and Auto, Ridgewood Road in Ridgeland.
Your roof. Knows that the Rusty Healy Agency and Landon Thompson offer top quality local customer service. Contact Landon today at 601-856-3681.
Hey, Rankin County, swing by the locally owned award-winning 042 Wine and Spirits on Highway 80 next to Sonny's Barbecue in Brandon today. We've got one of the largest selections around with over 200 bourbons and whiskeys to ignite your taste buds, more than 50 vodkas, 50-plus tequilas, 30-plus rums, and ready-to-drink cocktails, as well as premium scotches. And get this, we've got over 400 wines in stock for the perfect pairing anytime. Discover your new favorites today at 042 Wine and Spirits right next to Sonny's Barbecue, Highway 80, Cross Gates, Brandon.
Grizz Nation, your Memphis Grizzlies tip off a 6-game homestand on Wednesday, March 25th with a division showdown against the San Antonio Spurs. Tip-off is at 7 p.m. Don't miss this midweek matchup presented by Ortho South. Get the best seats today at grizzlies.com/tickets or at the FedEx Forum box office in Memphis.
When it's time to get serious about work-ready equipment, come see me, Noah Sullivan, at H&H Chief Sales in Carthage. From rugged Big Tex trailers to durable CM and Legend X truck beds, H&H has what your truck needs to work harder and last longer. For the field, H&H carries reliable ag equipment from Salford, New Leader, and Chandler. Visit H&H Chief Sales in Carthage today or anytime at hhchiefsales.com. H&H, quality equipment, knowledgeable service, and solutions that work as hard as you do.
Got electrical problems? Marty Cowden and Cowden Electric are here for you. Cowden Electric is your trusted electrician, serving the Jackson area for 3 decades. Electrical repair, service, and home rewiring are just the start of what Cowden Electric can do. Cowden Electric also installs generators to keep your power going when everyone else's lights are out. Plus, LED lighting, remodels, new construction. No job is too small. Visit CowdenElectric.com today to see all that they do. Cowden Electric, powering your home and business.
Broadcasting live from the Men's Health and Women's Wellness of Mississippi studio. This is the Clay.
Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. We got about 2 minutes left here to the top of the hour break here on WYAB. We got Scott Gilbert with us. He's the defense attorney, who's lead defense attorney for Ted DiBiase Jr. in the welfare fraud trial that wrapped up Friday. Scott, a couple of quick questions we got from some people online while we just kind of burn 2 minutes here. Will Ted be pursuing civil action against the government, or I saw Shad White say that the state will be going after Ted in a civil suit. Will you be assisting him on that? Can you peel that onion back any for us? Either way.
Sure. So the first question is, I don't know the answer to that. Anybody that would come to me and say, hey, I was prosecuted by the federal government and acquitted, so I want to sue them. I would strongly discourage that. The law really doesn't provide much of an avenue for that unless you were to demonstrate that, it was really done in bad faith, falsified evidence, things like that. And that was not the case here. These lawyers for the government are great lawyers and they're honorable people. So I don't feel that way at all. But so that's really not a much of a viable option. Teddy's already a defendant in the state civil suit.
Okay.
And so he's already a defendant there. He's got different counsel for that right now. And so that is progressing through the litigation process. And so that actually is already taking place.
Good deal. Good. I was just curious about that. And I agree with you on advising against trying to sue the federal government. That seems like a lose-lose situation where even if you win, you lose. So I'd want to just kind of move on from this and them not continue to want to audit me and anything else that the federal government is likely to want to do when you go to suing them. So, all right, look, y'all hang tight. 7 minutes. We'll be right back with Scott Gilbert, lead defense attorney for Ted DiBiase Jr. He's also the defense attorney for Michael Rhinewalt in the Capitol Police Jaylen Lewis manslaughter trial. I want to talk to him about that and more. We'll be right back.
This is Central Mississippi's Stimulating Talk.
1039 WYAB, Pocahontas, Jackson.
This is CBS News on the Hour, your home for original reporting.
I'm Deborah Rodriguez. President Trump has made a surprise announcement extending the deadline he'd set for tonight for Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz to energy shipments. He says he's giving Tehran 5 more days, citing productive negotiations. Correspondent Ed O'Keefe is at the White House.
Who exactly he's talking to or his administration is talking to, where, if it's direct, if it's indirect, involving what other country, all of that's still unclear this morning. The president likes to surprise us and control this messaging, obviously, so we'll spend the next few hours trying to sort out what exactly may have transpired here.
Iranian media insists there are no talks between Tehran and Washington. The headline on state TV, U.S. president backs down following Iran's firm warning. Futures markets are responding. CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger.
Prior to that announcement, stock futures were looking lower and oil futures were up. Upon the reporting of this information, stocks reversed course. They were down by about 1%. Now they're up by about 1.5% in the pre-market. The oil market, which was rising towards $100 a barrel, that too is reversing.
A deadly crash at LaGuardia Airport in New York overnight.
Stop truck 1, stop. Stop truck 1, stop.
Live ATC as an Air Canada Express plane collided with a fire truck on the runway. Both pilots were killed. The plane's nose sheared off. Transportation correspondent Chris Van Cleve.
It appears this controller was juggling an awful lot of things by himself. The NTSB will want to understand, was he working alone in the tower last night? You had this United flight. It was taking off. It aborted its takeoff because of a warning light in the cockpit.
Immigration and customs officers have begun deploying to U.S. airports today to try to get those long TSA lines moving as the partial government shutdown drags on. Passengers are mixed about their presence.
If they come here, where it's going to make a lot of people scared to travel.
ICE will keep us safe, and I don't have a problem with ICE agents.
Many TSA officers are sticking out. Others have quit because they're not getting paid. Police in London are investigating a suspected anti-Semitic hate crime after 4 vehicles from a Jewish ambulance service were set on fire. Multiple oxygen cylinders inside exploded. Prime Minister Keir Starmer.
My thoughts, I think all of our thoughts will be with those in the vicinity, the residents who are understandably very concerned. Anti-Semitism has no place in our society.
Windows in buildings nearby shattered. No one was injured. Dow futures up 949 right now. This is CBS News.
Every Sunday, moderator Margaret Brennan goes face-to-face with top leaders to make you better informed. Face the Nation, Sunday on CBS and streaming on Paramount.
Carpal tunnel syndrome, heart failure that doesn't improve with common medicines. These are some signs and symptoms associated with ATTR-CM, or the cardiomyopathy of ATTR amyloidosis, a serious heart condition with symptoms that get worse over time. Amvuttra, vutrisiran, is a prescription medicine given by a healthcare provider that treats ATTR-CM in adults to reduce heart-related death, hospital stays, and urgent visits. In a clinical study, Amvuttra was proven to help people live longer and have fewer heart-related hospital stays and urgent visits over 3 years compared to placebo. Amvuttra lowers the amount of vitamin A in your blood, which can affect vision. Other side effects include pain in the arms or legs, pain in the joints, and shortness of breath. These are not all the possible side effects of Amvuttra. For prescribing information, call 1-833-256-2748 or learn more at amvutra.com. Ask your doctor about Amvutra for ATTR.
Local news and weather brought to you by Mississippi Energy Services. We're your fast, affordable, and friendly generator service company. msenergy.us. msenergy.us.
The man killed in a shooting at a Jackson bar. Today, mostly sunny and 79. A little cooler than this weekend and a little less humid. Tonight, the low is 55. It's partly cloudy. Tuesday, it's partly sunny and 79. No rain expected this week. More on that in just a minute. With news on 103.9 WYAB, I'm Chris Davis. The man killed at Last Call Sports Bar about 2:30 Sunday morning has been ID'd as 24-year-old Joshua Butler. Jackson police say that went down during a fight at the bar, which is on Ridgewood Road. They say after the shooting, Butler was put in a private vehicle and taken to the hospital, but died there. No arrest has been announced. A person was hit and killed last night in Jackson, apparently by several vehicles. Police say that happened on Robinson Street at Kenmore Drive about 8:15. Police say they got there and found the victim already unresponsive. So far, he's been ID'd only as a black male. Police haven't said exactly how that happened. Gas passed the $3.50 mark and is now at $3.52 on average in Mississippi, says Gas Buddy. The cheapest you'll find it in the Jackson Metro is at a station in Flowood, selling it for $3.27. All of central Mississippi is in a drought, and the weather this week will only make that worse, says the Weather Service. No rain is expected this week, and you may not actually get any appreciable rainfall until early April, say forecasters. A man who called in a bomb threat from a phone at the Silver Star Hotel back in 2022 has pleaded guilty. 37-year-old Joshua Mark Davis of Meridian was indicted on that charge in May of 22, pleaded guilty Thursday, and now faces a possible 10-year prison term when he is sentenced June 16th. More news in 1 hour on 103.9 WYAB. I'm Chris Davis.
Did you get us switched over to shelter insurance?
Actually, I found a deal online.
You did? Does your deal come with award-winning customer service?
Oh, I'm not sure.
Does the deal include a local agent?
Doesn't actually say.
Can we create a customized plan that fits our needs? Let's just call the local shelter agent.
For insurance that fits just right, find a shelter agent near you.
Located in Ridgeland and Flora, come see me, Jamie Creel, Shelter Insurance.
Need a new car? Then march right over to Mazda of Jackson and spring in the savings. Get 1.9% financing for 63 months on all 2025 CX-5s, 2026 CX-90s, CX-50s, CX-70s, and Mazda 3s with approved credit. And get 1 year maintenance included on your new vehicle purchase. Don't wait another minute to experience Mazda's exhilarating performance, top-notch safety, and reliability. So get to Mazda of Jackson today, where pre-owned vehicles and hassle-free trade-in options are also available. Shop online or visit Mazda of Jackson, I-55 Frontage Road.
Welcome to the Clay Edwards Show. More adrenaline.
You know, it's a pretty interesting time to be alive. What's the saying? May the times you live in be interesting. We have accomplished that.
And more testosterone for your morning drive.
But when you know you've got a problem, how about tell people and be honest? What's going on?
Going to war on cancel culture and bringing the spotlight on issues and topics from around the city of Jackson.
I feel like Jackson, Mississippi.
No one else wants to talk about.
The whole system is corrupt and evil. It's unreal, and they don't care. And everybody knows that. It's just sad.
And fights for the soul of America.
I'm going to need y'all to explain to me what a positive solution is, because you positive solutions only people have been in charge for a while now. And I'm not seeing too many positive solutions.
You never met a motherfucker.
Strap in, turn up the volume, and get ready, Jackson, for unfiltered, no sugar added talk radio. It's award-winning podcaster Clay and
Boom goes La Dynamite. It's hour 2 of the most incendiary show on the RADIO. Well, y'all didn't think I was going to do it just because I got a high-profile guest. We always do that around here. This is the Clay Edwards Show. I am, of course, Clay Edwards, coming at you live here on 103.9 WYAB, the 50,000-watt blowtorch, the most powerful news talk FM station in the state of Mississippi at 50,000 watts. We're very proud of that around here. It never hurts to brag on yourself. It ain't bragging if you can back it up. What did Kid Rock say? It ain't cocky if you can back it up. That's right. We're streaming worldwide on the Mazda Jackson live stream to our near 250,000 followers across all the different social media platforms. You can find that at any of those platforms. If it exists, we're streaming to it except TikTok. And that's at SaveJXN or at Clay Edwards Show. You can find it at one or the other. Real quick, before we get back to Scott, this segment brought to you by our friends over at Mazda of Jackson. Hey, you need a new car? Then march right over to Mazda Jackson and spring into savings. You can get 1.9% financing for 63 months on an all-new remaining 2025 CX-5s. And then, hey, they ain't stopping with the 2025s. How about some 2026 models? The all-new CX-90, the CX-50, the CX-70, and the fun-to-drive Mazda 3. That's, of course, with approved credit. You're also going to get 1 year of basic maintenance included. That's your tire rotations and oil changes on all new vehicle purchases from Mazda Jackson. Don't wait another minute to experience Mazda's exhilarating performance, top-notch safety, and reliability. Swing by, check them out today, MazdaJackson.com, or in person at Mazda Jackson, Briarwood and 55. You know where it is, right over there by Electric City, Cowboy Maloney's Electric City. You're very familiar with the area. You drive down 55 in Jackson. It's right there. All right, man, let's get back to Scott Gilbert, lead defense attorney for Ted DiBiase Jr. Scott, let's try to pick back up at the most realistic place we left off here. We were talking about the grant blocks and how North Mississippi became Department of Human Services North, and Nancy New became Department of Human Services Central, I guess. And they started kind of doling this money out, and Ted got recruited in and paid handsomely for what he was doing. And I think that's about where we left off. Or if you remember somewhere different, feel free to pick up.
No, that's about right. And just as a very brief aside, talking about the amount of money, I mean, it is, $2.9 million is a shocking amount of money to people like you and I, right? I mean, it just is. But you have to, again, context matters, right? And so everybody knows that Teddy was a main event WWE wrestler, and that pays very well. And, Teddy grew up with it, right? Teddy grew up with his dad being gone all the time. And so he knew what that was like. And Teddy was on the road 300 days a year when he was wrestling. And, he's got he had one child at the time and a wife at home. And so Teddy's contract comes up for renewal, and he's offered an extremely lucrative contract to re-sign with WWE. And he turns it down. He turns it down to go home and be a dad. Look, Teddy loves his dad. His dad's his hero, but Teddy wanted to do something different for his family. He wanted to be a husband and a father. And so he walked away from a lot of money to come home. And so, when one of the theories of the case is that this is based in greed, you want to take a step back and look at who is this person and how have they lived the larger part of their life, and so Teddy had walked away from that, something that he was very good at and could have continued to do, to try and be a father and a husband. And, Teddy is a celebrity. Now, the example I gave to the jury was, you may not know who Teddy DiBiase is. Last year, when Hank came to the amphitheater, I was driving my daughter to school, and I started playing some Hank for her to listen to before I took her to the concert, and she had no idea who he was. Now, I told the jury I considered strongly driving straight to the nearest orphanage and dropping her off at the door when I found out she didn't know who he was. But I mean, in all seriousness, just because you may not know who somebody is doesn't mean that, 100 million other people don't. And so, Teddy had his life experiences, just like for the rest of us, dictate your perspective. Teddy spent some time as the spokesman for the Mississippi National Guard. He made $25,000 for a 2-hour autograph signing in that role. And so larger amounts of money for things like TV commercials, radio spots, appearances, things like that were not foreign to him. It wasn't a big red flag to him like it would have been for me. And so, again, context matters. But where we are in the story is essentially, we state government, John Davis, is trying to change the paradigm of how they do things at MDHS. Well, John turns out not really to be a very honorable person. He meets Brett DiBiase. Brett had the contract to do copiers through his company at the office. He offers Brett a job. Brett doesn't ask for it. Brett's been very open about his drug addiction. John took advantage of that. There are text messages that show John Davis was actually paying for Brett's pills and dispensing Brett's pills to him. John Davis is actually controlling a drug addict. And you know, anybody that's got any experience with addicts or addiction know that if you are the source of the drugs, you are in control of that person's life. You know, and so when the government's theory of the case is that Brett and Teddy were manipulating this lonely older man, I think they actually referred to it at one point as a lonely heart scheme. The truth of the matter is John Davis is controlling and manipulating
the Dixie Mafia stuff from the Sherry murders, right?
Oh yeah, it was like Bobby Joe Fabian Part 2, you know, but you know, it just sort of stretched credulity in that regard, you know, and so you've got this guy who's really a predator, is what John Davis is, and he's controlling Brett through his drug use. Brett and Teddy didn't speak to each other for over a year. You know, John, they let John and they let him drive a wedge between them, you know. And like I said before about Teddy, I mean, nobody's more embarrassed than he is. I can assure you that, you know, if he had this to do over again, it would be wildly different. And we learn through experience. But I just think it's important for people to understand the perspective of life that Teddy came at this from was not the same as mine, or, you know, my neighbors or my church members or people like that, because we didn't come up in that environment and we didn't exist in that environment.
Do you think, I'd be shocked if the answer was no, do you think that his dad's persona as the $1 million man hurt him in the public's eyes potentially in this thing? Because, you know, people who just kind of think that's real, you know.
100%, because that was what you know, people latched on to immediately, right? And look, that's what we do as human beings. It's human nature. It was convenient for Teddy. It was unfortunate, but absolutely. I mean, we saw that ad nauseum, you know, over the course of the last 6 years. I mean, every reference was to the $1 million man. You know, look, the jokes wrote themselves, right? I mean, they really did, and so yeah, that absolutely had a lot to do with it.
I even made a meme joking around as soon as the verdict came down of Big Ted holding the $1 million belt, said, everybody's got a price. I said, you think Ted was winking at the jurors? Kidding, obviously. but you know, but it lended itself to the moment for sure. And, you know, but real quick, you know, I met Ted Sr. one time. I sold him a vehicle when I was working at the Toyota store, me and another guy. And I'm going to tell you what, if he was really the $1 million man, he's the tightest $1 million man I've ever done business with in my life, because he shook us up. He turned us upside down and shook us drive. We didn't make a penny on that vehicle, but I got a picture with the $1 million man, and he was wearing his like WWE Hall of Fame windbreaker. So at least I got something out of it. But I just say that to say a very frugal fellow, and I mean that as a compliment, and just not the person that he portrayed on television at all.
No, listen, I'll let the cat out of the bag, right? I mean, you know, that's a character, it's a persona, and you know, if you're going to get a character, that's a good one to have assigned to you, because, you know, for a period of time when you and I were much younger and watching wrestling, you know, WWE really leaned into that. I mean, they would have, at their expense, not his, they would have him riding around in limousines out just in the general public. You know, they would give him cash to flash around and things like that. But no, you know, in Ted Sr.'s day and time, the pay was much less lucrative.
I mean, to go from the territory system in the 70s and 80s, like he did, to getting to be paid to live the gimmick of the $1 million man in the late 80s, early 90s, jackpot.
That's exactly right. I mean, so, you know, you got a little extra benefit out of that, but none of that was his, you know. And I mean, Ted Sr., you know, it's a blast to listen to him tell wrestling stories, but, you know, these guys were all crammed into small cars or little vans and driving all over the place and living a fairly austere life, you know, over that course of time. But yeah, I definitely think that was something that was low hanging fruit, and it was something easy to take a swing at, you know, over the course of the last 6 years.
Were you surprised with the verdict? I mean, I know as a competitor and a lawyer, I'm sure you expected to win, but what I mean by were you surprised? I was really shocked, and more so than anything because of the negative media coverage. And I have not seen in the last 5 years a case get as much negative media coverage for the defendant as, say, something like Donald Trump has been through. That's the only other cross comparison I can find that where it's just 90+% negative media coverage about the man. And that's why I thought it was going to be really hard for him to get a an untainted jury in this thing. And I brought that up in my initial reaction video. I was really surprised that we were able to get a jury that could listen to the facts. And I think that speaks volumes to what you were able to, you and your team were able to do in court to explain to them that this is not a broken law, but it's more so a broken system. So kudos to that. But were you surprised at all? And did you have those same thoughts? What's your take on that?
Well, any lawyer that litigates will tell you, you never know what a jury's going to do. But in one sense, I was not surprised. Because look, I've been trying cases for 20 years, and the jury system works. I've tried 33, 34 jury trials, and I cannot remember a time that the jury didn't get it right based on the evidence they saw and the instructions on the law they were given. And I've had juries of all, and look, and that includes the one or two times that I lost. And so, I have seen juries of all different makeups, age, race, gender, education level, and they always perform the same way. You got to remember what it is to be a juror, right? And again, that's a lot of your preparation for trial is you always are focused on the audience that you're talking to. When you get picked to be on a jury, you're pulled out of your everyday life. It's
froze up on us there. You still there? We'll let Scott work through that. We're at our break here. If Scott, if you come back, we're going to break real quick anyway. We're going to pick back up at the jury selection of this. Y'all don't go anywhere. This is the Clay Edwards Show, 103.9 WIB. Don't forget, get by McBee's Bar and Grill today, Ridgeland, Mississippi, and check out the chicken spaghetti. That is the blue plate special of the day, and it's one of my favorites. And real quick, Scott, we're going to go to break real quick, and we'll be right back with you, brother. All right, so we got Scott coming back. Y'all don't go anywhere. This is the Clay Edwards Show, brought to you by the chicken spaghetti, blue plate special of the day, McBee's Bar and Grill. If that don't work for you, hamburger steak, grilled chicken breast, or hand-battered country fried steak are also options, plus the full menus available. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
.1039 WYAB.
Hey, Rankin County, swing by the locally owned and award-winning 042 Wine and Spirits on Highway 80 next to Sonny's Barbecue in Brandon. Today, we've got one of the largest selections around with over 200 bourbons and whiskeys to ignite your taste buds, more than 50 vodkas, 50-plus tequilas, 30-plus rums, and ready-to-drink cocktails, as well as premium scotches. And get this, we've got over 400 wines in stock for the perfect pairing anytime. Discover your new favorites today at 042 Wine and Spirits right next to Sonny's Barbecue, Highway 80, Cross Gates, Brandon.
Men, let's talk about low testosterone. Do you suffer from any of these symptoms? Low sex drive, ED. Are you always tired, depressed? You have loss of muscle mass? You're obese? Maybe you have loss of focus and drive? Then you, my friends, may suffer from low testosterone. Let my buddies over at Men's Health in Mississippi, located right there in Madison, check your numbers today. Trust me, she'll thank you for it. I promise. Check them out online at menshealthms.com. That's menshealthms.com. Men's Health Mississippi.
Looking for the perfect spot to unwind with friends and family? El Patrio Mexican Restaurant is calling your name. With locations in Flowood and Cross Gates, Brandon, El Patrio is the cozy, family-owned gym where great food meets great times. Enjoy El Patrio's signature margaritas and happy hour specials that keep their customers coming back for more. Indulge in their authentic Mexican dishes prepared with love and served in a warm, family-friendly atmosphere. Come to El Patrio and taste the traditions. El Patrio, where family, flavor, and fun come together.
Hey guys, this is Casey Ellis with Ellis Autoplex, located on Highway 471 in Brandon. Ellis Autoplex is Little Truck City, is your old school mom and pop style dealership that's family owned and operated. We specialize in 4-wheel drive trucks, but don't worry, we have cars and SUVs too. Looking to sell your vehicle? Bring it by Ellis Autoplex, where we pay fair market value and we cut you a check on the spot. Need your vehicle service or repair? We can handle that too. Shop us online or set your appointment at ellisautoplex.com. That's ellisautoplex.com.
For over 15 years, A1 Gear and Auto has been your hometown specialist for your auto repair and maintenance needs. From brake repair to placement to radiators, engines, starters, alternators, heat, and AC water pumps, and more, A1 will get your vehicle back up and running and on the road and in a timely manner. A1 is one of the only shops in the metro that specializes in rear differentials, rear ends, and rings and pinions. Call today to set up an appointment, or if you got questions at 601-939-1060. A1 Gear and Auto, your hometown vehicle specialist.
Got electrical problems? Marty Cowden and Cowden Electric are here for you. Cowden Electric is your trusted electrician, serving the Jackson area for 3 decades. Electrical repair, service, and home rewiring are just the start of what Cowden Electric can do. Cowden Electric also installs generators to keep your power going when everyone else's lights are out. Plus, LED lighting, remodels, new construction, no job is too small. Visit CowdenElectric.com today to see all that they do. Cowden Electric, powering your home and business.
Ladies, tired of running on empty, sleepless nights, mood swings, stubborn weight, skin that has lost its glow? It is not just getting older. It is your body begging for help. Hey, y'all, I'm Morgan at Women's Wellness of Mississippi. At Women's Wellness of Mississippi, we bring it all together. Hormone therapy, medical weight loss, and the latest, greatest aesthetic treatments like facials, lasers, Botox, and so much more. This is where wellness and beauty meet so that you can feel amazing inside and out. At Women's Wellness of Mississippi, the best version of you is waiting right around the corner.
Broadcasting live from the Men's Health and Women's Wellness of Mississippi studio. This is the Clay Edwards.
Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. Let's go right back here to Scott Gilbert, lead attorney for Ted DiBiase Jr. during the Mississippi welfare fraud trial. Scott, so I guess kind of picking up a little bit here, man, because I want to kind of shift gears after this segment a little bit and get into the Capitol Police stuff as well. What do you think won this thing? Is it just showing the jury that Ted didn't do anything wrong? I'm not to be Captain Obvious here, but just that Ted didn't do anything wrong, that he did what the contract applied to him. What do you think sealed this deal for you?
Well, look, there was this was a chaotic environment. And so a lot of the work Teddy didn't match up with the strict language of the contracts. But what we were able to show the jury is that Nancy New and Christy Webb were always aware of what John Davis had Teddy doing. John Davis was the boss. I mean, the text messages from Christy and Nancy to John, they referred to him as boss. I mean, that's just, whether it was the legally correct, that was the reality. And so there was always communication between John Davis and the two ladies about, look, Teddy's doing this, Teddy's doing that. And they always acquiesced. They always said, great, we love it. Teddy's great. It's fantastic. This is a guy that never got negative feedback. And so if we're talking about a contract, what you've got here, people can agree to amend a contract. If you're a party to a contract with somebody, you can agree to amend it, and you don't have to do it in writing. Now, that's not legal advice, but if you're you can verbally amend a contract. And so, when
hey, I know we agreed to this, we're going to do this. Are you cool with that?
Right. I mean, think about it like this. You get hired to do a job, and then you show up and the boss says, I need you to do this today. Right. It's that famous other duties as assigned type thing. Yeah. And so I think that this really hyper technical drive to convince the jury that, look, because he didn't do exactly what was said in the contracts, it's fraud, fell flat. Because it's like you said before. I mean, that may be a breach of contract. And it may not be if the parties agreed that that's what you were going to do after the fact. And so that's really was one thing that I think mattered a lot to the jury. I just think it was really hard for the jury to say, wait a minute, we have uncontested evidence that Teddy DiBiase was working all the time. And you want us to essentially send him to jail because now you're saying he didn't do the work he should have done, but the people he was contracted with and working for were fine with what he was doing. And people are inherently fair, Clay. And it's like I said about the jury system, jurors take that very seriously. This jury in particular really leaned into this case. Everybody knows there was a delay in the trial because I had a health issue. This jury was asked, can you stick with us? Can you come back in February and March? And they all said, absolutely. So they wanted to be there. They took their job very seriously. And at the end of the day, they followed the judge's instructions on the law. Beyond a reasonable doubt is a high burden. and it's by design. And so they took that very seriously, and clearly they didn't feel like, and look, I wasn't part of their deliberations, so I don't know, but they clearly didn't feel like the evidence that was shown to them reached that high level of proof. Now, whether they think, hey, look, he's probably guilty or that, I'll never know. But the standard that we work with, in criminal trials is beyond a reasonable doubt. And I've never, again, I have all the faith in the world in our court system and the jury system. It's a whole lot better than what we used to do, which was meet in the street at high noon, and whoever was the luckiest shot got to be right, and so it works. The system works. And I think it worked the way it should have in this case. Look, nobody should feel like Teddy DiBiase or any of the folks that got contracts. And by the way, there were tons of people that got contracts the same way Teddy did. They were paid the same way. They were handled the same way. So he was not alone in all that. And none of those other people, had sort of the close relationship that was portrayed between Teddy and John Davis, and they were treated the same. So, there were just a lot of inconsistent issues that were put in front of the jury. And I think the focus for the prosecution was more on kind of shock and awe and an appeal to just sort of people's moral compass. But juries really do take the rules on the law seriously. And the judge in this case did a great job of handling the jury, of instructing the jury. And they did what I thought they should have done. So in that regard, I wasn't surprised. Now, when I'm sitting on one side of the courtroom with my law partner, younger lawyer law partner, who is the brains of the operation, by the way, Sidney Lampton, and on the other side of the room, there's 4 stud lawyers from DOJ. And again, these are great lawyers and great people, but they've got 4 lawyers, 3 paralegals, and 6 federal agents in the courthouse. I joked at one point I was afraid the building might tip over in their direction. That's where you start to really feel the weight of it. And like you said, the government wins a lot. And so, in that regard, it's a relief, and you are a little surprised. But I thought if the jury followed the law and followed the facts, they would reach this conclusion.
Well, again, I've been pulling for him from day one, just because, and I've never met him. Like I said, I met his dad once. We got some mutual friends. Never met Ted or Brett, to the best of my knowledge. I think I was at Hines the same time Brett was back in the 90s, maybe. I remember something to that extent, possibly, but neither here nor there. Just what I saw on the surface, it never resonated with me that he did anything wrong. And not to just randomly bring up people's names here, but another person that I thought got whose name got drugged through it and all this. I thought Paul Lacoste got a bad rep out of this deal. I think Brett Favre is probably doing a victory lap around his farm down there in South Mississippi right about now. A lot of people's name got drugged through the mud, and I just looked at it all kind of the same way. It's like they got these contracts from the state. You can argue if they did or didn't do everything they were supposed to do in the contracts, word for word, but nobody ripped anybody off. The state offered these, they accepted it. And again, I guess having owned businesses and doing what I do for a living, and being in sales for a long time, I just see it through a different lens. And I just never thought that they were guilty. And I'm glad you mentioned about the quality of the prosecution. I've heard great things about those guys. I want to make sure I'm not being negative on them. I think they put forth the best case they could with the evidence and whatnot that they had. And they're not the investigators. They're not the ones that went out and decided we want to prosecute Ted. They're the guys that got to sign this case, and they got a job to do. And I think they did that to the best of their ability. I just think I'm with you. I think the jury, and again, to my surprise, based on the media coverage, did the right thing.
Well, I think if people are shocked that the jury verdict is not really congruent with what they were hearing day in and day out from the news coverage, I think that's a reflection on the coverage and not the truth of the facts of the case.
Well, we're both wrestling fans, so you'll get this. People, every time they find out I'm a wrestling fan, they say, that's fake, don't you? I said, so is the news, but you watch it every night.
Well, I guess we got sidetracked on that. I was going to let the cat out of the bag. The wrestling is a drama, and it's a scripted drama, But I can tell you that when you get hit with a chair, it hurts.
Absolutely.
You got hit with a chair. And so there's a lot of reality to it. As far as what you see and what those folks are doing. But, it's always been a guilty pleasure of mine. And I'm not embarrassed about it. I mean, we all have the things that we need to do to unwind and relax. And that's just always been mine. So,
hey, I'll have Netflix pulled up at 7:00 tonight on the road to WrestleMania.
Absolutely. But yeah, look, I know you want to transition. I talked about Brett and his addiction problem just a little bit. I just want to make sure everybody knows that Brett's been sober now for about 3 years. And I saw him the other day, and other than, what he's got that he's facing, because he entered a guilty plea, he's doing great. And he's got a family and working hard, and he's just putting one foot in front of the other, and his turnaround has been it's something I've been able to see as I've been involved with his family for the last 6 years, firsthand, and we're pulling for Brett. He's doing great.
I'm glad you brought that up, hearing about the last minute or two of this segment before we shift gears. One of the things that conversations I've had with people over the weekend are do people have the ability, or are there conversations right now with people who are considering changing their guilty plea? I know you can do that on a federal plea, right? You can change your plea. How does that work? And Teddy's charges are Brett's charges are state charges. Can you kind of clear any of that up for us?
Sure.
Kind of what people may be looking at?
Sure. So, Brett and Nancy New, Christy Webb, John Davis, and several other people pled guilty in state court and federal court. And their deals are that their state sentences will be imposed after their federal sentences so that they can serve their time in a federal facility, which is going to be a federal work camp as opposed to a state prison. And so that was the real carrot, I think, that got a lot of those folks, the federal guilty pleas actually are going to make the lives of these folks better as opposed to worse, because they're going to get to serve their time in a much kinder, gentler place, still jail, than they would have if they'd have only been convicted in state court. But to withdraw a guilty plea in federal court, you generally have to allege actual innocence. And that's really difficult to argue to a judge if you've already stood in front of him under oath and admitted to a set of facts that establish each of the elements of the crime that you're pleading guilty to. It is a pretty rare circumstance where somebody can successfully do that. So I don't speak for anybody. Certainly haven't had conversations with anyone else's lawyers about it. I don't know what somebody may or may not try to do, but just in a general sense, that is an incredibly difficult thing to do. And again, that's by design. The judicial system favors finality, and it also favors the truth, right? I mean, that's the point. Our trials and our judicial system is at bottom a search for the truth. And so I think that'll be difficult for somebody to do, because in each of these guilty pleas in federal court, the prosecutors stand up and recite an exhaustive list of actual substantive facts that they would prove if the case were to go to trial, and the defendant's required to say, I agree that that's what happened. And the judge always asked, are you pleading guilty because you are guilty? And the defendant's required to say yes, or the court won't accept the plea. So that's going to be a hard road to hoe if somebody wants to go that route.
All right, and 30 seconds or less, if you can squeeze it in here before we go to break. Why isn't Ted facing state charges also? It's just the federal, it's just called federal Trump state here. It's just, it's
prosecutorial discretion. And I had a little bit of interaction with the guys at the DA's office early on, and it was clear to me from the beginning they weren't pursuing a case against Teddy. I think they prosecuted what was brought to them initially. The federal investigation was much broader.
Is this Hines County DA's office?
Yeah. And so they didn't, I don't think they ever intended to bring a case against Teddy. That's what they'd indicated to me when I met with them early on in the process. And so but that's just prosecutorial discretion. I mean, prosecutors look at evidence and they make decisions about, do I think I've got a reasonable chance to get a conviction beyond a reasonable doubt? And if they feel like they do, then they tend to go forward. And so again, I don't want to speak for anybody. I was not privy to the internal decision-making process at the district attorney's office, but I feel like if they believed they had a convictable case, they would have brought it. And so that just, in a general sense, my assumption is that whatever information they may have had about Teddy, they didn't feel like that was one they needed to take a swing at.
Interesting. And I know, Sean, you're going to be on with Sean and Lindsay today from noon to 1, right?
Yes.
All right, right on 103.9 WYAB for anybody that wants to listen to that. And Sean, with his 10 plus years as a assistant district attorney in Jackson and his current role as a criminal defense attorney, he's going to get into a lot more legal questions with Scott. But I know some of the questions, and I don't want to ruin that for Sean. So I just recommend y'all tune in, and they're going to peel the legal onion back a little bit more than say I am on my show. But I like to look at it from the everyman's perspective here. So that's why I ask the questions I do. But I'll be tuned in from noon to 1 right here on the radio station to listen to Sean and Lindsay have this conversation with Scott from a different angle. Let's take a break real quick, come back with Scott. And I want to he's also Michael Rhinewalt's criminal defense attorney in the manslaughter trial in the Jaylen Lewis deal, the Capitol Police versus Jaylen Lewis, or however you want to say that. And I got some questions about that. Those trials have all been kind of merged together as of late last week, and kind of what he sees moving forward there. Don't go anywhere. This is the Clay Edwards Show. We'll be right back. 103.9 WYAB.
Keep it tuned here to 103.9 WYAB.
This is Central Mississippi's Stimulating Talk.
103.9 WYAB, Pocahontas, Jackson.
For decades, you've known the name Martin's for a good time, great food, and the best live music. Now that's happening at 2 locations, downtown Jackson and Livingston. Check the websites, martinslivingstonms.com and martinsdowntownjxn.com for the many special events and live music lineups. You can chill with friends on the big patio at the Livingston location and enjoy the blue plate lunches and nightly drink specials. Martin's, downtown and Livingston.
Hi, Kim Wade here. Hot weather requires us to run the AC nonstop. Pure Air Consultants can inspect your unit today to ensure your AC is operating at peak performance. Pure Air Consultants is your go-to Rheem partner that can get the job done and have you resting in comfort in no time. Locally owned and operated, they have proudly served our community for over 22 years. Contact Pure Air Consultants today at mypureairconsultants.com. Rheem and Pure Air Consultants to the rescue.
Here at Lake and Glass and Tint, we've become well known for 2 things: window tint and windshields. Now, when it comes to window tint, you already know that we're the go-to for home, car, and office. And as always, we offer free consultations. So if you're in the need of window tint or windshields, give us a call, 601-946-1000. Check us out on Facebook or Instagram or at lakeandglassandtint.com. Lake and Glass and Tint, where quality matters.
When leaks, clogs, or cold showers slow you down, call on Anglin Plumbing, the plumbing experts who get the job done right the first time. Leaky faucet, sink, or toilet? Need a water heater installed? Call on Anglin Plumbing. You can always trust Anglin's reliable and hardworking technicians. Don't let plumbing headaches ruin your day. Call on Anglin Plumbing Service to get it fixed. And you can be a part of the team. Anglin Plumbing is now hiring. Learn more about Anglin Plumbing at anglinplumbing.com.
Get ready, Mississippi. You're invited to Cameron's Garage, Claws and Clovers on Saturday, March 28th. Kick things off with brunch from 10 to 2. Then stick around as the crawfish boil starts at 2 p.m. Fresh, hot, and full of flavor. And that's not all. Live music from Burnham Road. So bring your crew and get ready to party. Great food, cold drinks, live music, and St. Patty's vibes all day long. Cameron's Garage, where the party never stops. Cover starts at 6. Don't miss it.
Your pool should be something you enjoy, not something you fight with. Hi, I'm Darren with Elite Pools. At Elite Pools, we do more than just service. We take care of everything your pool needs, from your routine maintenance to your full repairs, upgrades, and even complete transformations. If your pool needs a little attention or a fresh start, then Elite Pools can bring it back to life. Visit Elite Pools online at elitepoolsms.com. That's elitepoolsms.com. Or give us a call. At Elite Pools, we keep swimming.
Since 2012, Brentech Solutions has been keeping Central Mississippi businesses connected and protected. From secure data backup and cloud services with Synology to reliable network design and maintenance, servers, and business Wi-Fi, Brentech truly does it all. Brentech is your Ring Pro partner and smart home automation solutions provider. Brentech can handle Microsoft 365 support and even Starlink. Visit brentech.ms. That's brentech.ms. IT solutions that work.
Did you get us switched over to shelter insurance?
Actually, I found a deal online.
You did? Does your deal come with award-winning customer service?
Oh, I'm not sure.
Does the deal include a local agent?
Doesn't actually say.
Can we create a customized plan that fits our needs? Let's just call the local shelter agent.
For insurance that fits just right, find a shelter agent near you.
Located in Ridgeland and Flora, come see me, Jamie Creel, Shelter Insurance.
Broadcasting live from the Men's Health and Women's Wellness of Mississippi studio. This is the Clay.
Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show here live, 1039 WYAB. This segment is brought to you by our friends over at, man, how about my buddy right over there at, I got my sheet right here. How about my friends right there at Shelter Insurance? My buddy Jamie Creel, located right here in Flora, Mississippi at the Cotton Exchange Plaza. And of course, right there on Highway 51 North, next to Fleet Feet and all those great places in that shopping center there in Ridgeland. If you don't have a local agent, you, my friend, need to get a local agent. I saw somebody complaining over the weekend that it had a bad situation with a storm or something to come through. And they got told that their adjusters don't work on the weekends and they'll just have to deal with it till the first of the week. I said, man, those are words that ain't coming out of Jamie Creel's mouth. If something happens on a weekend, I can promise you that you call, if you went and you did business with Jamie Creel because you heard it on the Clay Edwards Show and he tells you that, you call me. I'll be out there giving you a dang estimate if I got to. He don't want that. I'm always going to overestimate. I'm playing around, but look, y'all check out Jamie Creel for all your home, car, life, business, health, everything, insurance. He gets you covered from top to bottom. He's always on call, always got his phone with him. His agents are great, and most likely going to save you a bunch of money. My business owners out there, my buddy Marty, he saved Marty, what was the number? $50,000 a year on his, I think it was his general liability on all his different trucks and everything, running the roads for his electric company. Crazy amounts of money. My buddy Johnny saved him $700 a month on just his personal insurance on his home, car, and business, on his home and car, and boats and RV and all that good stuff. That's a dang car note, a nice car note nonetheless. Let him see what he can do for you today. Jamie Creel, Shelter Insurance Agent. Let's go back to Scott Gilbert here. Scott, I got one question before we get into the Capitol Police stuff. A big topic here lately has been there's a bunch of these guys running around hooting, hollering, and screaming about putting every cop they can on the Brady list here in Mississippi. What is the Brady list something that's taken serious within legal circles? Is it something that can be held up in court? I tried to do a little research on it last night. It looks like it's just a pay to play thing that any random wannabe citizen journalist could pay $100 and put somebody on there. Can you give me any insight to that as an attorney?
Clay, I've got to admit, I've never heard of that. If what you're talking about is a list of officers that maybe during testimony have been found to have been dishonest or something, is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, it's the Brady Giglio list. Does that?
Yeah. So prosecutors have an obligation. Obviously, again. Every defendant has the right to cross-examine witnesses, and everybody knows about Brady. That's exculpatory evidence. Well, impeachment evidence is also considered to be Brady exculpatory evidence, and so you are allowed to impeach anybody with a prior act of dishonesty. And so, if a witness, and it's not just law enforcement, any federal employee or state employee, anybody you're going to put on the witness stand as a prosecutor, you have an obligation to find out if they've ever been determined to have done something dishonest. And so the federal government's got a procedure that they go through if they're going to call a federal employee or a federal agent, where they do a Giglio request to their employer. And they ask, has this person ever been found to have been dishonest on the job? And if they have, that has to be disclosed to the defense, and the defense can impeach the credibility of that witness by bringing that up. Hey, you got caught stealing money out of the cash register at work, right? Yes.
You know what? I've heard it referred to as being giglioed. I just put the two and two together now. Okay, yeah.
It is. And giglio is it's a U.S. Supreme Court case that followed Brady. And so it's part of the line of Brady cases. But yeah, so prosecutors have an obligation to disclose impeachment evidence, and that includes for their witnesses. And so in the event and circumstance where a law enforcement officer may have been found by a judge to have testified falsely in the past, that has to be disclosed. And so what has to happen is the officer has to testify, and then the court has to make a determination that the officer was not honest, and then essentially enter an order or make a finding specifically that officer was not honest. Now, it also could apply to, other work. It doesn't have to be testimony, but it's basically a record of any act of dishonesty, because any witness can be impeached with, prior acts of dishonesty, as long as there's sufficient evidence to believe that that's what actually happened.
All right. So look, we've kind of, you said you had something for me here in just a second. We've kind of run out of time as far as getting into the Capitol Police stuff, but maybe we can hit that here before we run out of here. But what you got for me here?
Hang on just a second. Yeah.
19th.
April 19th. All right. Well, let's book it.
Vegas.
No problem.
Oh, I like it. I know what we got going on there. April 19th. That looked like Ted. That looked like Ted DiBiase Jr. in the background. Was he on the phone with Randy Orton?
I don't know who he was on the phone with, but he's definitely booking some travel.
I like it. We got 3 minutes here. Tell me this. We will circle back to the Capitol Police, Michael Rhinewalt, Jaylen Lewis thing. Man, look, I've looked at that thing from top to bottom with the available stuff that's out in the public, and then you look at what happened up in Minneapolis with that lady getting shot by the cops she tried to run over, and I believe the ICE agents were 100% in the right, had the right to do what they did. And I think even more so in this case where Jaylen Lewis, in my opinion, as Clay Edwards, was driving his car straight towards these guys. And it's easy for people to say, well, they should have just jumped out the way. But that's not how I see it. I think they were 100 within their rights to defend themselves.
Well, obviously that case hasn't gone to trial. And so, I'm not going to talk specifically about the facts of that case, but let me just tell you what, there's a general proposition in the law that a vehicle, it can be a deadly weapon. And, we all as human beings and as citizens of the state of Mississippi, you don't have to wait until you're physically harmed to defend yourself. Again, this is just a general legal proposition. People are prosecuted all the time for using a vehicle as a deadly weapon. And so I would just tell you that, what's publicly out there, the indictment in the case, the language in the indictment actually says that these officers believed that they were in danger, but that their belief was unreasonable. And so it is a very interesting indictment. You don't see this very often. It's a theory called imperfect self-defense, and it's normally a jury instruction that a defendant will ask for if they're charged with murder, and they want to argue to the jury that they should only be convicted of manslaughter. So it's a very rare, this is not, I don't know if I've ever seen this before. I've had a lot of people call me and say, is that even a crime? But the law does say you can charge it this way. But we're allowed as human beings to be able to defend ourselves if we reasonably believe that we're in danger, or that somebody else is in physical danger of imminent bodily harm, serious bodily harm. What I would do, there's this great video out of Bismarck, I think, that shows an officer being run over, and it's a lady in a parking lot. It's a very small area, and these two officers are doing everything they can to get her to stop, and they don't use deadly force, and then one of them gets run over, and it happens in an instant. And so that's just a really good, you can find that on YouTube. That's just a really good example of the concept. But it's going to be interesting. We are set for trial, I think, sometime in May, and we'll let the testimony and the facts there speak for themselves.
Yeah, it's so easy for people to say what cops should do when a car is barreling at them or somebody has a gun pointed at them. versus what reality actually dictates most likely happening. And that's why I always lean on the side of law enforcement and then try to change my opinion from there versus public opinion, because you just see how these things always end up coming out, and law enforcement usually is on the right side of history, so to say. Going to be interesting to see how it all goes down. Like I said, I have publicly been in the corner of those guys because I know Jackson. But with that aside, I hope that all works out for them. Praying for them. Look, brother Scott, I appreciate this, man. Let's run it back here again at some point in the future, and tell Ted there that open invitation. Would love to have him on the show. I'm gonna be efforting Brett also. We have a go between kind of efforting that. So open invitation to any of them if they want to come on and chop it up anytime. Would love to have them, and I'll be watching WrestleMania on April 19th in Vegas with an extra eye for ringside there.
I guess you never know what'll happen.
You never know. Scott, appreciate you, brother. Y'all tune in at noon today to the Lindsey Beckham Show with Sean Yerkeron. Scott will be back chopping this up with them. Appreciate it, brother.
Thank you, Clay. Have a great day.
All right, guys. We'll be right back on the Clay Edwards Show. I got a whole nother hour to go this morning. I'll be here till 10 o'clock.
.1039 WYAB.
Greetings. I'm Dr. Benny Tate, president of the Congregational Methodist Church denomination in Florence, Mississippi, and the pastor of Rock Springs Church in Milner, Georgia, inviting you to attend one of our services this week. Find a church near you at cm-church.org and be sure and listen every Sunday morning at 7:30 a.m. for our weekly program, Apples of Gold from Rock Springs Church, here on 103.9 WYAB.
Have you thought about the cost of long-term care? In Mississippi, a home health aide can cost over $57,000 a year, and a private nursing home room can exceed $109,000 annually. Hi, my name is Cressley Pierce at Pierce Professional Agency. Long-term care insurance may help protect your savings and give you more options and peace of mind as you age. Learn how planning ahead could save you money and stress. Find me, Cressley Pierce, online today at MadisonPlans.com. That's MadisonPlans.com.
What are people saying about Tom's Fried Pies in Richland?
Tom's Fried Pies. I made the mistake. I ordered one pie. I figured, you know what, I'll try Tex-Mex. It was so good. Man, second go around, I ate the pecan pie. You will need a meat pie and a dessert one. Get both because they are off the hook.
I went to Tom's Fried Pies today, and I'm going back. I tried the taco one, really good. When I go back, I'll bring some home.
Tom'sFriedPies.com.
At Flora Animal Hospital, our team doesn't just take care of your pet's needs. We feel like it starts with the pet parents. If the pet parent is informed thoroughly and understands the situation with the animal and why certain things need to be done or certain medications need to be given, it's easier to get that done. Our website is floraanimalhospital.com. It'll take you straight to the online store where your medicine can be purchased, food can be purchased, prescription or non-prescription, and they will be shipped straight to your front door. floraanimalhospital.com.
Here at Lake and Glass and Tint, we've become well known for two things: window tint and windshields. Now, when it comes to window tint, you already know that we're the go-to for home, car, and office. And as always, we offer free consultations. So if you're in the need of window tint or windshields, give us a call, 601-946-1000. Check us out on Facebook or Instagram or at lakeandglassandtint.com. Lake and Glass and Tint, where quality matters.
This is Gary Bryden with the Association of Independent Methodists, inviting you to join us for the Methodist Bible Hour USA each Sunday morning at 7 a.m. We'll explore the scriptures, share insightful thoughts, and enjoy special music. In today's world, there's a lot of confusion around us, but we'll point you to the eternal truth found only in Jesus Christ. That's the Methodist Bible Hour USA every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. on 103.9 WYAB.
You can show your pride and patriotism in honor of the 250th birthday of this great nation by proudly flying a flag. And a complete flag source on I-55 in Jackson is the place to find it. All sizes for all purposes. And they have the official 250-year celebration flag. Have a look at CompleteFlags.com. That's CompleteFlags.com. The 19th Annual Township Jazz Festival is Saturday, April 11th in Ridgeland. 8 hours of live jazz, headlined by Grammy winner Nestor Torres. Also featuring the Tropic Owls from New Orleans, along with local favorites like the Vamps, Southern Comfort, the JSU Jazz Band, and much more. And admission still free. That's the Township Jazz Festival on Highland Colony Parkway in Ridgeland. Visit townshipjazzfestival.com.
Broadcasting live from the Men's Health and Women's Wellness of Mississippi studios. This is the Clay Edwards Show.
Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show, live here on 103.9 WYAB. Like a rock and roll show, just keeps on keeping on. We appreciate Scott Gilbert there, man. That was good stuff. And how about that special appearance by Ted DiBiase Jr. in the background, talking about booking something April 19th, Vegas. That's where WrestleMania is in Vegas that weekend. Did we just get a spoiler? Did we just break news on the Clay Edwards Show in the wrestling world? You never know what you're going to get here. Welfare fraud, wrestling, breaking news. We do it all. When we come back, we're going to talk about Pops Around the Corner, allegedly turning into a strip club over the weekend and more. We got Andrew Gosser in the studio. Be right back. Strip club over the weekend and more. We got Andrew Gosser in the studio. Be right back.
This is Central Mississippi's Stimulating Talk.
103.9 WYAB, Pocahontas, Jackson.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by JTV.com.
I'm Deborah Rodriguez. Wall Street's happy after President Trump did an about-face on tonight's deadline for Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz to energy shipping. The Dow is up 926 in early trading. Oil prices tumbling after he announced talks are going so well with Tehran, he's extending the deadline for 5 days. He's speaking at the airport in Palm Beach right now.
We're doing a 5-day period. We'll see how that goes. And if it goes well, we're going to end up with settling this. Otherwise, we'll just keep bombing our little hearts out.
Tehran denies talks with Washington about those oil and gas prices. Market Watch's Joy Wiltermuth.
Even if everything stopped, the war stopped, there's still destruction that has happened to oil infrastructure in the Middle East. So it's going to take time. Obviously, you would have to have a safe passage to the Strait of Hormuz. And that's an uncertain point now today.
A deadly crash on the tarmac at New York's LaGuardia Airport. An Air Canada regional jet hit a fire truck, killing the plane's 2 pilots. Transportation correspondent Chris Van Cleve.
The controller cleared that fire truck to cross runway 4, then quickly realized that he had just put it on a collision course with this airplane, pleaded with that fire truck to stop, but it was too late.
Timothy Henriksen was on another plane.
I could see a plane propped up. It looked like it was almost like lifting off, but it was stationary. We got a really good view of the plane missing the whole front nose.
ICE agents have begun arriving at U.S. airports. Their goal, according to the president, to help ease interminable lines forming since TSA officers started sicking out and quitting during the partial government shutdown. CBS's Skylar Henry is at the airport in Atlanta.
We have already seen some of those ICE officers. As of now, they appear to be patrolling the lines outside of the checkpoints. The folks that we have spoken with say that they've been in line for hours already, and they still have a ways to go.
Scotland Yard says it's treating an arson attack in London as a hate crime.
I'm Vicky Barker in London. 4 ambulances belonging to Hatzolah, a Jewish volunteer charity, were set on fire. Community leader Mark Gardner says Hatzolah's paramedics help Jews and non-Jews.
This attack is all the more sickening for the nature of what Hatzolah does in saving life.
No one was injured, but exploding oxygen tanks in the burning ambulances blew out windows in nearby homes, forcing more than 30 residents to evacuate.
Gas prices averaging $3.96 a gallon today. DoorDash is offering drivers with its debit cards 10% back on cash purchases. Usual rate is 2%. NASDAQ up 437. This is CBS News.
Looking for spring jewelry looks? Find them at Jewelry Television. New customers get $20 off purchases of $99 or more at JTV.com.
If you're drowning in IRS debt and can't afford to pay, then you need to take advantage of special IRS tax programs that are available and free yourself from IRS collection efforts once and for all. Due to the financial hardship consumers are facing throughout the country, the Internal Revenue Service has made it easier to settle delinquent tax problems. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Take down this number or store it in your cell phone, but call the Community Tax Helpline at 800-269-3454. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot act, or even if you have years of unfiled tax returns, there's no need to.
Hey, if you're watching on X, I'm killing the feed and going to restart it. I got to have one of these feeds that's less than 2 hours to load in to get my clips made for the show. It only lets you load like a 2-hour video for that, for the way I do it. We're going to restart it immediately, but if you're watching on X, we're restarting that right here as soon as we come back from the break at 9:07, just a couple minutes. So we're going to kill it, and then at 9:07 it comes back live. I apologize for any inconvenience that may cause, but it's the most dependable stream I have for uploading to Opus, which is the app I use to create all the reels and the short form stuff. So I apologize, but it is what it is.
With the high again at 79, you've got news on 103.9 WYAB. I'm Chris Davis. No ID yet on a man hit and killed in Jackson last night. Police say that man was run over by several vehicles and happened on Robinson Street near the intersection with Kenmore Drive. 911 all about 8:15. Police did confirm that it was a black male, but that's all as far as ID. The man who was shot and killed early Sunday morning at Last Call Sports Bar on Ridgewood Road has been ID'd as 24-year-old Joshua Butler. JPD says that went down during an argument about 2:30 at the bar, and that Butler died after being taken to the hospital by private vehicle. No arrests announced. A woman called Lee County dispatchers Saturday afternoon about 4:15 and reported that a small child had been hit. The caller said the child was running around the parking lot of the Thomastown Community Center on Highway 43 and was hit by a car that pulled in. The woman did not believe the child was hurt badly, but the child was being taken to the hospital. It's about getting ready for the future. Philadelphia City Board is trying to get enough money through a grant to build a parking garage downtown. The city's growth over the past several years has necessitated the need for more parking. The addition of the Congress of Country Music and the Ellis Theater concerts have added tax revenue, but also caused parking problems, and city and county court also caused problems in that downtown. $5 to $8 million is needed to build the garage. The average price for gas in Mississippi today is $3.52, says Gas Buddy. More news in 1 hour on 103.9 WYAB. I'm Chris Davis.
The views and opinions expressed in this program are the individual views and opinions of the people expressing them and do not necessarily reflect those of this its parent, affiliated, or related entities, agents, or employees.
Welcome, Clay Edwards Show. More adrenaline.
You know, it's a pretty interesting time to be alive. What's the saying? May the times you live in be interesting. We've accomplished that.
And more testosterone for your morning drive.
But when you know you've got a problem, how about tell people and be honest? What's going on?
Going to war on cancel culture and bringing the spotlight on issues and topics from around the city of Jackson.
I feel like Jackson, Mississippi.
No one else wants to talk about.
The whole system is corrupt and evil. It's unreal, and they don't care, and everybody knows that. It's just sad.
And fights for the soul of America.
I'm going to need y'all to explain to me what a positive solution is, because you positive solutions only people have been in charge for a while now, and I'm not seeing too many positive solutions.
Strap up the volume and get ready, Jackson, for unfiltered, no sugar added talk radio. It's award-winning podcaster Clay.
Boom goes La Dynamite. It's hour 3 of the most incendiary show on the RADIO. This is the Clay Edwards Show. I am, of course, Clay Edwards. We're coming at you live here inside the Men's Health and Women's Wellness in Mississippi studios on 103.9 WYAB, streaming worldwide on the Mazda of Jackson live stream over at Save JXN on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, X, and then over at Clay Edwards Show on Twitch and Kick. Welcome to the party, Twitch and Kick. I figured, why are we leaving stones unturned around here? They're available. Advantage of them. Maybe we'll get some gamers to watch the show. Who knows? So we appreciate everybody. I've got Andrew Gosser now joining me, host of the Andrew Gosser Show here on 103.9 WYB from 10 to noon every Monday through Friday. Appreciate everybody. Real quick, before we get into some other stuff, non-welfare related, this segment is going to be brought to you by our friends over at Anglin Pools. We're going to tell you about Elite Pools also, but over at Anglin Plumbing. If you have need a plumber for anything, there's a regular old service call, dishwasher disposal not working, sink clogged, toilet clogged, need a toilet replaced, need a gas grill hooked up to your natural gas line outside, need a gas line ran, whatever the case may be. Remodels, they can do it all at Anglin Plumbing. Big commercial jobs, not a problem for Anglin Plumbing. Reach out to Dylan today. Anglin, that's ANGLIN plumbing.com. And of course, they're still hiring, starting $50,000 a year and up based on experience, and they will train the right person. So if you're a hard worker, you ain't scared to get dirty, you got some common sense, left from right, up from down, Anglin Plumbing might be the spot for you. Located right there in Pearl, so pretty centrally located for here in Central Mississippi folks. Check them out and see if maybe you got a new career. If you don't need a new career, reach out to them if you need any plumbing done at all. No job too small, no job too big for Anglin Plumbing. All right, Andrew Gosser, no breaks.
Good morning. Good morning.
You got a little more pep in your step this morning. You look like you're feeling better. You sound like you're feeling better. And I'm always happy to see you feeling better, my friend.
Yep, it went good on Thursday. It took me a little bit longer to get back up, but man, Dr. Regniff and the team over there did a great job on me.
Well, I'm excited to hear that. Man, Andrew, I know this ain't necessarily your wheelhouse, but Democrats behaving badly in Jackson, Mississippi is my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
And man, oh man, did they behave bad, I guess, Saturday night over at Pops Around the Corner. Pop Saloon is what it's called now, but you used to call Pops Around the Corner. It's always going to be Pops Around the Corner in my heart and mind. But they, man, how do I say this? It looks like they turned it into a strip club, allegedly, of course, according to the videos I saw online, which are absolutely disgusting. I mean, disgusting. I want to say something real quick. Never has Pops under any ownership or any demographic of audience that's gone there, never has it been the moral compass of Jackson nightlife. And just for full transparency, neither has a Clay Edwards-owned establishment back when I had nightclubs for 10 or 12 years in Jackson. Nor were we compass. We had Girls Gone Wild come and bring their big rap tour bus and park it on the street in downtown Jackson on Capitol Street on a Wednesday for all the world to see that whole day. And the news crews, they all did their lead-in report that night at the 5, 6, and 10 p.m. report from my front door. Like there was a gaggle of naked college girls on a tour bus that were about to walk out and parade through the club naked, not having a clue how the Girls Gone Wild Search for the Wildest Bar in America tour actually took place. But neither here nor there, I digress. We didn't go to jail and there was no nudity that night, but it wasn't from a lack of effort by law enforcement to not try to find a way to take your boy to jail. Anyway, so with that said, full transparency there. I want to be careful about throwing rocks from inside my glass house here.
Yep.
And we've had wet t-shirt contests. I ain't saying that, maybe a nipple or 2 or 3 or 10 hadn't been seen on the stage before at one of my venues, unwilling, accidentally. It was what they call a wardrobe malfunction, because nobody would ever do that on purpose, a wardrobe malfunction. But there's definitely a difference in a nip slip or whatnot versus a full-blown bottoms off spread eagle display on a stage in front of the world to see, which we saw unfold at Pops Around the Corner Saloon. At least if that's where the video was filmed, and I know that venue, it looks like that does appear to be the venue. Now, I just say all that to say this. People are like, well, Clay, you can just not go. True enough. You can just not go. And trust me, I have opted to not go.
Yep. I
have opted to not go, spread eagle nudity or not, whether it's Pop's Cabaret or Pop Saloon. I'm not going. True enough. But here's my deal. There was a mass shooting there New Year's Eve. Four people got shot. You would think that first off, the club owner should probably say to themselves, we need to try to at least pretend the law around here and try to, I don't know, not get people shot, not give the police a reason to have to come and mess with us. We should at least try that. Then Jackson Police Department. I know it's not your jobs to be security at nightclubs. Y'all sure thought y'all were when I had them. But that aside, you got these videos. I'm not saying go shut a place. I mean, come on, man. A mass shooting and pretty much running an illegal strip club at this point, according to the videos I saw, allegedly, of course. Just got to put that out there.
Yep.
I can't think of a better reason to maybe add a place to the nuisance list and say, hey, look, the state of Mississippi, their beer permit. If the city of Jackson don't want to do anything, you can pull the state beer permit. They don't have a liquor license, but you can pull the state beer permit since they're operating what appears to be an illegal strip club there on premise. You got to start making examples of places that are just giving middle fingers to the air and pretending the law doesn't apply to them. And that's where I'm fed up. There's too many good bar owners and club owners in Jackson and the surrounding areas that have to do it the right way, or they'll be shut down. But for whatever reason, you get these outlaw establishments in Jackson that just don't think the rules apply. There was another club right around in downtown Jackson, liquor license, or was operating without a liquor license. And it was bringing chaos and carnage to downtown every Monday night and the other nights throughout the week. And I looked forward to Tuesdays, I think it was, when all the videos of all the fights made it to the internet. Because people like content creators were going there just to film the brawls that were taking place out in the front of this place. And it's using up resources from the police having to come and waste time actually fighting crime to break up fights. It's wasting paramedic resources in a city that's already struggling with law enforcement and paramedics because people are being shot over here and there to have to come pick up people. And I think it finally got, I don't know if it got shut down all the way, but it got its liquor license taken, or maybe it got shut down, whatever. So a little bit of, and it took other bar owners and the business in the middle of the business district. It took them coming together to make that happen and having to raise enough hell with the mayor and the ABC and everywhere else to finally get this problem taken care of. Now, Pop's over in a more desolate area there in Jackson where they really ain't bothering no businesses around them over there. However, you still can't allow somewhere to, let's just say I own a legal strip club in Jackson and I have to follow all these rules. I have to have all these extra permits. All my dancers have to have these adult entertainers license. And again, whether you agree with all this morally or not, that's not what this conversation is about. I have to jump through all these hoops if I'm Danny's downtown, or if I'm Babes, or any of the other legal establishments. And it costs you a lot of money to be able to operate and keep your permits and stuff and hold your girls to a different level of accountability and all of that stuff. But then just any old club can just say, you know what, we're just going to be a strip club regardless of the rules and regulations. And I damn the torpedoes. That's why you have to go and you have to make an example of places like that, because you have to protect your businesses that are doing it the right way. Again, whether you agree with those businesses' existence or not.
Yeah, it's not so much like the type of business, whether it be a strip club or a regular club or a restaurant. It's about the culture, and what does the culture want to enforce? Does the culture want to enforce law-abiding businesses, the laws and rules and regulations, or not? And the truth is we've got a new mayor, we've got a new police chief. I mean, this might be a DEI situation where they're just taking care of the girls. I look at this and I just say, I've talked about and ranted and raved about this. Our Department of Justice system, whether it be federal, state, local level, just seems to be completely out of touch with the populace and what we want to have enforced. The things that they're wanting to enforce, DiBiase Jr., perfect example. Look at all the time, money, wasted resources on that compared to going after the real fraud that we have going on. And Chad White's done a good job of pointing out a lot of fraud. He pointed this out, and for whatever reason, the state wanted to go after Ted DiBiase Jr.
Go ahead. I'm glad you brought that up. I need to circle back to a super chat where somebody asked a question about Chad. Go ahead.
Yeah. So for me, I look at this and Jackson, Hinds County, business as usual. They're going to take care of what they're going to take care of. They have absolutely no real commitment to trying to clean the place up. We've very, very complimentary, I feel, of John Horn in his first few months of office. I know that I've said, hey, let them figure out where the restrooms are, or let them figure out how to flip the light switch on and get stuff going. But, this DEI hire on the police chief, is anything going to happen from this? And I can just hear my attorney friends saying, Andy, the wheels of justice turn slow. Give them time. They don't give you time when you screw something up, Clay. They'll be there instant, right on you, just like me. But when it's somebody else, when some of their friends, and Pops has been around for a long time, as I understand it,
since the early 90s.
You know, they've got all the wheels greased.
It's been sold.
Mm-hmm.
You know, coming out of COVID, it got sold to a guy. Jacktown Bud was his name, and I was a promoter, and I used to do some business with him when I had his first party ever was at my Club 105, and so he buys this place, and then he gets killed at a barbershop. His mom takes over, black woman. I don't know if she ever wanted to be in the club business or she knew how to be in the bar business. I don't know, you know, but she's in it now, and she's been in it a while, and she's even expanded and bought another one out on the reservoir. So she's in the bar business, full blown here. She's not just accidentally in it anymore. You got to do better. The city has to demand accountability of people, and you wonder why people look at Jackson and roll their eyes on everything. It's because what's not acceptable in Jackson. Like, that's why I call it culture. Like, you're creative. You brought up culture.
Yeah.
It's a culture of just immoral corruption, degradation, and everything. And look, and I'm not one of these people. I sin. Look, I go out of town. I go on Bourbon Street. I might wander in a strip club for a minute. Oh, how did I get here? You know, make it rain a little bit for a second. I'm not opposed. I'm not one of these people. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, but I don't want to go into a random bar that's got that kind of nonsense going on, because if they're allowing that, what the hell else are they allowing in here? What kind of drugs are coming through here? How many guns are in here right now on people other than the security? And all my Second Amendment guys, oh, you mean we'll go over the gun? Well, look, if I feel like I got to take my gun in, I ain't saying I don't take my gun in a lot of places, but if I get asked not to, I'm just going to put it in the car or I'll leave. One or the other. I'm not going to make a fuss about it, because at the end of the day, I don't know that I don't believe that you should have a gun in somewhere that serves alcohol. You know, but as long as everybody is held to that same standard, like the Brandon Amphitheater. I don't mind not having my gun at the Brandon Amphitheater, because I know everybody in there is held to that same standard.
And you would think that the security would be able to make sure that standard is enforced.
It is.
And what I'm looking at this situation here, you've got a woman bar owner who's exploiting women and girls with a woman DEI police chief in a town that promotes DEI. This is just the standard for Jackson. It's sad. It's really sad, because I'm telling you, as somebody who's moved from out of state into state, there is so much potential here, but it's just rotten away because we won't hold even the bare minimum standards for a decent society. And I'm not saying, you know, you've got the strip club and all. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, if the law is you're driving on the right side of the road, you drive on the right side of the road. If the law says that you stop at a red light, then you stop at a red light. And in Jackson, that's optional.
They don't. Look, me and Kingfish were talking about it the other day. In Jackson, if you're stopped at a red light and you're about to go, you better acknowledge the 3 to 5 second rule and look both ways. And because they're running them around here like crazy. And I'm not just using Jackson as a punching bag here. That is real talk. If you're just, you know, if you roll green, that's red and it turns green quick, son, you better keep your head on a swivel, especially in these downtown areas like Fortification, State Street, that area, Woodrow Wilson State up through there, where people can come flying through.
Where 49 hits Woodrow Wilson, you know, I've got to drive that once a month to go to the VA. And that 3 to 5 second rule is real, because they're coming down Woodrow Wilson. I'm getting the green light, and I'm literally looking to my left, and he does not even see the light. Zoom, right through.
Absolutely. Miss Angela, I see your super chat about, do you think this hurts? Do you think the DiBiase verdict hurts Shad White in the governor's race? I'm going to answer that when we come back. We got Andrew Gosser here in the studio with Mr. Show, 10 to noon, right here on WYAB. We got a lot to jump into, a little time to do it. We're here to the top of the hour. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on the Clay Edwards Show.
Keep it tuned here to 103.9 WYAB.
Your pool should be something you enjoy, not something you fight with. Hi, I'm Darren with Elite Pools. At Elite Pools, we do more than just service. We take care of everything your pool needs, from your routine maintenance to your full repairs, upgrades, and even complete transformations. If your pool needs a little Attention or a fresh start, then Elite Pools can bring it back to life. Visit Elite Pools online at elites.com. That's elitepoolsms.com. Or give us a call. At Elite Pools, we keep you swimming.
Have you been injured through no fault of your own? Do you know your rights? Don Evans does. Do you really believe that the insurance company would disclose all information to you? Don Evans will make sure that you are fully informed. It costs nothing to discuss your case. From car wrecks to malpractice, Don Evans will make you and your family. Don Evans won't ever charge unless he collects for you. Call Don for a free, no-obligation consultation at 601-969-2006.
Americans for Prosperity is Mississippi's and the country's leading grassroots organization dedicated to promoting economic freedom and personal liberty. Americans for Prosperity advocates for limited government, free market policies, and empowering individuals. When given freedom and opportunity, Americans are capable of extraordinary things. If you are ready to make a difference in our community and want to get involved, then forprosperity.org. Be a part of positive change at americansforprosperity.org. Paid for by Americans for Prosperity.
Here is what real customers have to say about Roeder's Plumbing Service.
This is Leah. I wanted to tell people what a wonderful job Roeder's Plumbing did for me recently. I called, Chris Roeder answered the phone. He had somebody out in no time. They fixed me real fast. I couldn't believe they came out here like that. That's all I can say.
Plumbing problems? You need Roeder's Plumbing. Visit roedersplumbing.com today.
Dr. Mike Stonington here from Stonington Farm Grass-Fed Beef. Here in South Mississippi on Stonington Farm, our steers and grass finished. No grain, no whole antibiotics, no mRNA vaccines. Our grass-fed and grass-finished beef is straight from our farm to your table. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, and at StoningtonFarm.com. That's StoningtonFarm.com with 2 N's. And we deliver every 4 weeks to the Jackson area. We are the grass-fed difference.
From a cabin on a creek to a field where the big bucks sneak. Oh, yeah! Tom Smith Land and Homes. Find your place where your roots can grow. From hunting ground to your front door key, call the landman of Mississippi. Tom Smith Land and Homes. Yeah, the landman's who you need. Brought to you by Tom and Ellen Smith. Tom Smith Land and Homes. That's it.
Even with interest rates higher than recent norms, real estate values are still holding strong in Mississippi. We caught up again with one of Mississippi's top real estate agents, Shane Saxon, to explain his recent activity in the market.
In the last year or so, it's been the best of my career. Interest rates have been high, but the real estate market is here to stay. Land values especially are continuing to rise. Home values are holding. If you need help with anything in real estate, just give me a call.
Find Shane Saxon on Facebook or give him a call at 601-540-5040. Offer property 601-74-1435.
Yazoo Valley Electric Power Association wants you to stay away from downed power lines. Downed power lines carry the risk of deadly electric shock, even if the broken wire is not sparking. If a wire is crossing a road or driveway, avoid the area and keep others away. If you see a downed power line, back away and call your utility company or 911. When you call, be prepared to provide the specific address or location of the downed power line so a repair crew can get there as quickly as possible. This safety message brought to you by Yazoo Valley Electric Power Association.
Broadcasting live from the Men's Health and Women's Wellness of Mississippi studio. This is the Clay Edwards Show.
Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. This segment brought to you by our friends over at Brentech Solutions. My buddy Brent Skinner. You can check him out online at brentech.ms. That's Bren, B-R-E-N, Tech, C-T-E-C-H, brentech.ms. Look, Brentech Solutions has been around serving businesses in central Mississippi for a while now. Providing reliable, locally based IT expertise. And man, I tell you what, just having somebody local, legitimately local owned, not Geek Squad or any of that stuff, not hating on them, but I'm just saying, you know, when I can just call and pick up and the owner pick up the dang phone and have a conversation, half the time they probably just walk you through it for a nominal fee, of course. But I don't mind. As long as it's fixed, money. But so you're going to get somebody live and local. And it's going to be, unless Brent's got a calling service and answers the phone for him, it's going to be Brent that answers the dang phone. And that goes a long way. Things they can take care of, your data backup and cloud services. They can take care of all your complete network and connectivity solutions, as well as get your Starlink and all that hooked up for you. And so many people are using Starlink now. Andrew, are you using Starlink?
Yes, I am.
You love it?
Oh, it's the best.
I mean, it's great, man. So if you live out in the sticks and all that rural Wi-Fi that we're all paying for ain't got to you yet, what a waste of damn money. That is going to end up being. They could have done a deal with Starlink, paid everybody Starlink, saved billions, but them dango utility contractors got to get their money.
Yep.
Got to get their money for laying that fiber. But again, I digress. That's the way the wheels work down there at the Capitol. But anyway, so look, he can get you all hooked up. He can also take care of your smart home, smart technology, security integration. They're a Ring. What is it here? Ring devices along with smart home business and solutions. They can take care of all of it, man. You get your Ring devices, you need to get it all hooked up. Here's what I was looking for. They're a Ring Pro partner, and they also install all devices. And I look here, modern workplace support. They provide setup and management from Microsoft 365, helping businesses stay productive, connected, and secure. Check them out online, brentech.ms. Guys, I can't, I mean, I don't have to sell you on having a good local IT person. If you ever needed it and not had it, you understand how important it is.
Exactly.
Get in touch with Brent Skinner, brentech.ms. All right, Andrew, we were talking about strip clubs or alleged strip clubs and all that. But circling back, man, aside from that, I want to see something done because I want to see this new police chief. And I already know, based on, I know for a year has been made well aware of those and what happened there at Pops over the weekend. I want to see something done. I want a press release saying this will not be tolerated in Jackson, Mississippi, at places that aren't licensed to do this. You need to set a tone, maybe because it's a black woman that owns it. And I know we're not supposed to, you're not supposed to attack black women. You're supposed to hold them to a different standard. Now shut up. A black woman's talking, you're not allowed to criticize them. But you know what? Damn, when this is going on with their establishment, you can in fact criticize, because criticism makes all of us better.
Constructive criticism makes us all better. And again, it comes down to the rule of law and what's really important to the citizens and residents of Jackson, Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
Is it okay to is it okay to run an impromptu strip club?
Well, let me say this about the sexually exploiting women stuff. You're not sexually exploiting women who are doing this willy-nilly, at will.
I would say that you are, because if you're going to go do that, hey,
exploiting means more to me like they're doing something against their will.
There's plenty of women. You go out there and they're flashing their boobs on the beach, and they get put on a video, and all of a sudden it goes viral. All of a sudden they come back and said, I never had gave permission for that person to take that picture.
Sure. Well, that flashing their boobs, but there's a difference in being exploited and regretting.
Are we going to allow this to happen, or are we going to say, nope, you're either following the rules in Jackson or you're not?
Yeah.
And in Jackson, it just seems to me it's a lot like Chicago, man. It's like a mini Chicago. It'll be interesting to see what Mayor Horn does. It'll be interesting to see what the police chief does. And they might be here and getting their telephones ringing off the hook right now, and we're gonna have to actually do something about this, or they just might do a 5-minute puff piece on it on WLBT and then be done with it.
I'm gonna take does nothing for 500, Alex.
Does nothing for 500. That's the daily double.
Yep. At a sports bar last night, Last Call, who their previous location burned down, and they moved locations right over there to the corner of County Line and Ridgewood. They had a murder there Sunday morning. So I guess late Saturday night, Sunday morning, a shooting. Let's see here. So again, that's the kind of stuff that happens at places where you're not enforcing the rules properly.
Yep. Just the bottom line is in Jackson, it's a very violent city. How many murders are we up to this year?
Well, we can look right here. I got WLBT pulled up. It won't take me 2 seconds. Keep talking.
Yeah. So I mean, this goes to show: are we changing the culture in Jackson, Mississippi? Are we making it better? Are the residents making the effort to make it better too? There's all sorts of different ways to go ahead and improve the community. You just can't depend on the government for everything. I mean, ultimately, the government's going to fail us when the stuff really goes down, whether it be a hurricane, natural disaster, whatever. You're going to have to defend yourself. And as the city of Jackson taking the steps necessary to go ahead and defend themselves and enforce their laws? Or are they just going to kind of freestyle it just like the South is? I mean, we love the South because, we all take care of ourselves and we all mind our own business until somebody else's business gets into our business, and then we make a big issue of it.
So there's 16 year to date, which is, it started off kind of slow, but it's been ramping up the last 30 days or so, especially the last 2 weeks.
Yep.
And WLBT now breaks it out by which department it happened under. Was it under the Capitol Police CCID or was it JPD?
Yep.
And CJ LeMasters that puts all this together. He comes across as, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but just based on his reporting, he comes across as extremely biased against the Capitol Police because, well, they're ran by a conservative governor and have a Caucasian police chief.
Yep.
Where he always comes after the Rankin County cops super hard, but never about Jackson police,
Nope.
Never seems to hold them accountable for anything. But he believes that Jackson's murder being down the last couple of years has nothing to do with Capitol Police based on some arguments we've gotten in online. But I say all that to say this: all 16 of these murders happened inside JPD's jurisdiction, not a single one. If WLBT's reporting is correct, and if nothing else, I'll give CJ this. I mean, he's a good reporter. He's a good journalist when he is journalizing on things that I find relevant. 0 homicides inside the CCID.
Well, that just goes to show you that whatever they're doing inside CCID is working.
Yeah, actual policing.
Yep.
They don't have a no pursuit policy. They don't have a criminals or voters too policy.
I'll tell you what, the options are there for Jackson to fix itself. It's not going to happen overnight, but they're being given the blueprint for how to implement some tools to help them improve their neighborhoods. Whether or not they actually go ahead and do that, well, that's to be determined.
Let's take a break. When we come back, I want to talk about, I know me and you kind of go back and forth on these street preachers.
Yep. I
want to talk about the Supreme Court cracking the window open for them to continue doing their thing.
Oh, let's do it.
Let's do that when we come back. This is Clay Edwards Show. Got Andrew Gosser here in the studio with me. We'll be right back. 103.9 WYAB.
.9 WYAB.
This is Demario Davis from the New Orleans Saints. As a Brandon, Mississippi, seen the positive effects Mercy House Adult and Teen Challenge has across the state. Help us restore broken families and fight against addiction by donating an unneeded vehicle, even if it doesn't run. Mercy House will pick it up for you. All paperwork is handled and you receive a tax deduction. Call 601-572-7296 or visit vehicledonationsms.com.
Thank you for helping us get our daddies back.
Hi, Kim Wade here. Are you craving a home-cooked meal without the hassle? Come over to McBee's Bar and Grill in Ridgeland for their Blue Plate lunch specials. Served up every weekday, at McBee's, it's a different entree every day. Chicken spaghetti on Mondays, beef tip Tuesday, pork chop Wednesday, spaghetti Thursday, and catfish Fridays. And McBee's Blue Plate lunch comes with 2 classic Southern sides and cornbread or a roll. McBee's specials are served every weekday from 11 to 2. McBee's is since 1982.
CBS News special report. President Trump threatened to strike Iran's power plants tonight if the country did not open the Strait of Hormuz. But this morning, he changed course.
We're doing a 5-day period. We'll see how that goes. And if it goes well, we're going to end up with settling this. Otherwise, we'll just keep bombing our little hearts out.
Iran accused Trump of backing down, and Trump indicated there are U.S. talks with a respected leader in Iran, not the new supreme leader.
No, not the supreme leader. We don't. Well, nobody heard of the second supreme leader, the son.
Well, Trump suggested Iran is essentially leaderless at the moment.
Nobody wants to be that. Nobody wants that job right now. Nobody's exactly looking forward to being the head of the country, but perhaps we'll be able to solve that problem.
All this news about the war today helped revive the stock market. The Dow Jones Industrial Average up about 2%. CBS News special report. I'm Steve Kathan.
Looking to make technology work for your business instead of the other way around? Visit brentech.ms today. From reliable network infrastructure and wireless internet to cloud or on-premise backups, Brentech has solutions that keep your business connected, secure, and running smoothly. Don't let tech headaches slow you down. Discover how BrenTech can simplify and elevate your business at brentech.ms. That's brentech.ms. BrenTech, technology made easy.
Efficient and trouble-free payroll processing is crucial to a business's success, and a lot of businesses are struggling with it. PeopleLease, a local payroll provider, not only offers top-of-the-line software, but also provides on-demand payroll support services. With PeopleLease, you're never on every step of your payroll process. PeopleLease has the expertise in managing payroll challenges and will work hard to understand your business and employees. That's what makes PeopleLease the perfect choice for you and your business. Learn more online at peoplelease.com.
I'm speaking with Lee Bounds of Rapid Rate Mortgage. Why is Rita Jensen the type of real estate professional you are looking for?
As a mortgage professional, I look for making transactions easier, and Rita Jensen with Rematch Connection is a prime example of that. Her attention to detail, her strong communication skills really help us as a mortgage company make everything smooth. From start contract to close, she helps me.
RitaJensen.net.
Ladies, tired of running on empty, sleepless nights, mood swings, stubborn weight, skin that has lost its glow? It is not just getting older. It is your body begging for help. Hey, y'all. I'm Morgan at Women's Wellness in Mississippi, we bring it all together. Hormone therapy, medical weight loss, and the latest, greatest aesthetic treatments like facials, lasers, Botox, and so much more. This is where wellness and beauty meet so that you can feel amazing inside and out. At Women's Wellness in Mississippi, the best version of you is waiting right around the corner.
Broadcasting live from the Men's Health and Women's Wellness of Mississippi studios. This is the Clay Edwards.
Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. The segment brought to you by our friends over at, how about our friends right there at Cowden Electric? Reach out to Marty and his team today, Cowden, Cowden, electric.com, and let them get you an estimate on adding a emergency generator to your home. They can do the full size ones that, power the whole house. As soon as the power cuts off, they're on within seconds. Or if you're like me, maybe you're renting, maybe you just can't afford that. And there's no show what I can't make that kind of investment into my house right now. I'm paying on these cars, got a kid in school, whatever the case may be. No shame in your game, but maybe you can't afford another option. And that is just dropping down some cords that tie directly into your, I call it like cam locks. And that's not what it is, but that's just where my brain goes. But you get this cord that drops down for you to plug your extension cord into, and it's tied into certain breakers. So you kind of decide what is most important for you to have if your power goes out. Maybe you have somebody in the house that's medical equipment. You never know. The power could be out. The backup batteries only last so long. Maybe you got thousands upon thousands of dollars in processed deer meat in a deep freeze or two or three. Maybe you're like me and can't live without air conditioning. And I don't know about y'all. That's the internet and air conditioning are my two deal breakers. And a way for me to charge my phone. Priorities, people, priorities. But anyway, you can pick and choose what you want to work, and you can just get a portable generator. Now, I recommend speaking with Marty first and letting him tell you what size portable generator you're going to need to make all that work, because you don't want to go buy the wrong one and need to go exchange it or whatever. But anyhow, with that said, they can do that. We're getting into storm season here. Let them get you protected. I mean, I'm adding it to my rental house. I know it's an expense on my end, but you know what? I can live with it, because not a full-blown generator, but getting the drop downs for my portable generator, because I don't want to be without air conditioning and internet and everything else. So anyway, I'm looking at that, but they can also do anything else. They can do any basic calls you got. Come replace breakers, add a ceiling fan, add some, add you some outlets. They can do new construction, complete remodels, no job too big, no job too small for Cowden Electric. They operate within the state of Mississippi. So wherever you're at, if you're up in 2-3 hours away from here, you want to get an estimate done on a big generator install. Some of that can be done by phone. He doesn't actually have to come up there and put his eyes on everything, but if you can, you need to get him to come put his eyes on it and kind of really let you know what you need. So just be mindful of that. He's a busy guy. It's hard for him to get away and go do a free estimate 3 hours away. So be respectful of that thought. But that's just me talking to you. That ain't him. Anyway, CowdenElectric.com. locally owned, locally operated, been in business now, I think it's close to 60 years. Second generation owner. His dad did it forever, retired, then passed away just a couple years ago, and Marty took over full time. So Cowden Electric. All right, Andrew, throwing an audible here real quick, guys.
Yep.
I saw something on Facebook that really bothered me. I'm being serious here too. Buddy of mine, or a guy, I hate buddy, may not be the right word, but just a guy that I've known for a long, long time. We didn't go to school together, but basically did, because I should have been at Forest Hill, but I got sent to Byram. He went to Forest Hill. We always had parties at his parents' house. His sister is a friend of mine. She works for one of our good sponsors. I say a friend. She's an acquaintance of mine. I've known her for a long time. I'm not going to put all their information out there like that. But anyway, Eddie, man, he was adopted from the Philippines, him and his brother, years ago. Now, his brother actually, I don't know, they married, or he'd been with my cousin for years. I don't know if they're married or not, but, he's basically family is what I'm trying to say here.
Gotcha.
Well, he's being deported back to the Philippines, because he's from here, lived here his whole life, for the better part of his whole life. They were brought over here as kids. I want to say the parents, if I get any of this information wrong, I apologize. I want to say his parents were missionary people. They adopted, brought him back. And I was talking to his sister the other day, and a couple months ago, when I found out that he'd been in a ICE detention center down in like New Orleans or something for months. And, he's got a little hiccup with the law. Something happened that, he wasn't aware of, but whatever it happened, I'm not going to put all that out there. But because of that hiccup with the law and the fact that they're having a hard time proving his citizenship for some reason, even though he was legally adopted and brought here, he's never, past a super, super young age, been to the Philippines. He's full American speaking, the whole 9 yards. And they are deporting him back to the Philippines. I'm just going to read his message here.
Yep.
And this is where I tell y'all that I am a human. And I am conflicted on a lot of this stuff. And I brought this up the other day when we talked about the guy that was wanted to get married at an ICE facility in Mississippi, and they wouldn't let him, and he's being deported, even though he got brought over here at like 5 months old by his mom from, I think, Cuba, maybe. Anyway, but he says, well, look, I have some bad news. Apparently, some of y'all already know, and I can't hold it any longer this week. And this weekend is my last days here. They're sending me back to the Philippines. So please, if anybody who wants to send prayer, I appreciate that. I really do love every person I met in my life. And man, it's really sad, dude. I mean, I saw him out. I went out to the Shuckers Crawfish Bowl last weekend and ran into him. And then we stopped by Shuckers for just a minute Saturday, just to get in and have a quick beer and say hey to some folks and stuff. And I saw him in there, spoke to him for just a brief second. And it's just a sad situation when and this is the part of this, all these deport everybody thing that I don't like, is you got somebody that's been here the better part of their whole life. They were brought here legally.
Yep.
And I know people will say, well, he did something illegally. After he found out, I give you all that. I won't argue with you, but he's a U.S. citizen. But apparently there's some screw up with the adoption papers, and they have worked the system the best they can work it to this. And they're just coming up short, and then you're going to send a guy and drop him off in a foreign country that he's basically never been to and say, figure it out.
Yep.
We gotta do better than that.
Again, this comes back to how are we enforcing the laws that we have on the books. I look at this and say we have people in America right now, excluding this person, but kind of corollary situation, who were brought here 5 months after they were born, or here, to parents who were from Somalia, who grew up and were raised a certain way to make you think that they like America, but when you talk to these kids, they don't. Now, this is not what's happening with him. So,
No,
but
he was raised by Christian American parents.
So, what gets me with this is he's legally adopted. Where's the hiccup with that? I don't understand. And again, this comes down to prosecutorial discretion too. You can be guilty of sin, but the prosecutor doesn't want to prosecute you, you're out the hook.
Yeah.
And so I would have to see the specific facts of all this with the adoption and all that. But obviously we do care as humans. Person clearly loves America, wants to be here. I mean, there was just that story that I think dropped today about the Mexican who self-deported, and 2 weeks later he's right back legally. So, I mean, we need more facts on this, but again, this just seems like there's something not adding up to why would they want to boot him out of the country?
I'm taking everything at face value.
Yeah.
You know, based on the conversation I had with his sister, and I didn't even bring it up with him. Just wasn't no point in. I saw him back here. I thought everything was good. He was out of the detention center.
Yep.
You know, I figured that, well, they let him out, so he's good.
Yeah.
But, you know, I was going to say, I guess that one hits a little different when it puts a face on it or somebody you know.
Absolutely. Does he even speak Tagalog?
I have no idea.
I mean, that's got to be something too, you know. Do they speak the language?
Yeah, I don't know. And again, like, I'm not a bleeding heart or anything like that. I do think that we have to look at these things. He wasn't brought here illegally.
No, he was adopted.
This I know for a fact. Him and his brother were brought here legally.
And they're both getting deported?
No, just him. I guess because he's got this felony that he got caught up with. That is I guess they could deport you if you were brought here through adoption. If you get a felony, I mean, I don't know all the stuff, but man, this seems mighty harsh. And he's paid his debt to society on this thing too, by the way. So like I say, I just find it mighty harsh punishment for somebody who was adopted legally, and then this happens.
Yep.
You know, I don't know. I mean, again, I got some problems with it, but the bull in the china shop thing, man.
Yep.
We're throwing a lot of babies out with the bathwater. Maybe that's the best analogy for
There
it.
are definitely babies being thrown out with the bathwater on this, but when you've had open immigration like we've had the United States, and you know, it's crazy, but the American economy is completely funding our enemy right now, whether that be Iran and us pumping money through, circle back to Iran, or whether that be Somalia. You know, and you know, Somalia right now is having tremendous growth. They're rebuilding Mogadishu off of our dollars.
Yeah.
And we have to start correcting this. And unfortunately, it seems in this case, again, we don't know all the facts, but it just seems that something's a little off here.
Look, you can sell me on sending Eddie back to the Philippines if you're going to also show me where we're sending Somalians back to Mogadishu.
Yep.
And that maybe that's a better way for me to put this. You know, I'm okay with the guy that I know that's basically like a family member. You know, I'm only speaking for myself, not his immediate family here.
Yep.
You know, I like his brother has been in a long-term relationship with my cousin. I'm just saying that, you know, I could understand that you could sell me on that. Not saying I'm okay with it, but you could sell me on it if you're saying, well, look, I mean, we're also sending all these Mogadishians back to Mogadishu.
Yep.
And all these other, you know, terrorists, we're sending them back to where they came from. And I know the Trump administration is obviously trying.
Yep.
You know, and they have a bunch of white liberal Karens playing Operation Human Shield, trying to prevent that from happening in these places.
Yep.
Anyway, I don't know. Maybe we just send the Karens with them for all I care. But I don't know. I just saw that when I was using the restroom. I said, man, I want to speak on this for a minute because it does rub me the wrong way, the evidence.
Exactly. And I think that's where, you know, I agree with you, Clay. I think that, you know, the compassionate side of me, the Christian side of me says, hey, what's going on here? He's legally adopted by, and look, because you're born black or you're born white and your parents were American, you commit a felony, you don't get deported wherever. There's just something that's not adding up here. And that's where I'll leave it.
And I'll say that, I mean, this is still what I voted for.
Yeah.
Everybody's, oh, this is what you voted for. Still what I voted for. Unfortunately, there's casualties in war, so to say, and this is a war, make no mistake about it. This immigration war is a war, as well as what we're doing over in Iran. And there's some breaking news on that where it says Trump says, now take this with a grain of salt. This from Fox News. Man, I get a lot of notifications. It says Trump says Iran war will be settled if 5-day period goes well. So I'm not even up. What's the 5-day period?
So Trump set a 48-hour deadline to settle, or we were going to start bombing power plants inside Iran. And apparently he has said there's been enough positive discussion through some channel, whether it be direct negotiations or intermediaries, that he's given an additional 5 days. So take that for what it's worth. With President Trump, he is going to back off of that. He's the art of the deal. He wrote the art of the deal.
Yep.
And, you know, we're going to talk about that on my show a lot, actually. We're going to talk about the application of air power and how it works and what it's really great at and what it's not really great at.
Well, if there's not a regime change in this thing, was it even worth doing all this? I guess the short answer is yes, Clay, because when you look at
their intercontinental ballistic missile technology,
Yeah.
and everybody's saying, "Oh, one fell in the ocean, the other one got intercepted." It's not that difficult to go from A to B and then from B to C.
Yeah.
So what did it have to be done? Yeah. When you have a culture that's for the past 47 years saying death to America, building all sorts of different weapon systems, all different types of bombs, they're saying somewhere like 800 to 1,100 kilos of enriched uranium underneath all the rubble. They're digging for it. Trust me, they're digging for it. There's going to have to be some type of boots on the ground to extract that stuff out. But was it worth it? Yeah. Do we want to do it? No. Nope. And that's what we're going to kind of talk about.
And I'm in the camp of yes, it's worth it. I'm just the question
absolutely
out there. Yeah, I'm in the camp that are absolutely worth it. You've disarmed an enemy.
Yep.
I mean, even if they're still in, there has been regime change. Now we got the Ayatollah.
Oh yeah,
allegedly.
And, well, here's the other thing too. Don't forget, Iran fought the United States through its proxies of Islamic Jihad, Hamas, and Hezbollah. So the terrorist organizations can go around and act the fool, and Iran got to sit there and say, "Oh, it wasn't us. It wasn't us." Well, yeah, but you're sitting there funding all their leaders and commanders.
All right, Andrew, you'll be up next here at 7.
Yep.
Andrew will be in the studio. I'm going to come back, land the plane for the day. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back here on the Clay Edwards Show.
Good deal, man.
All right, online audience, appreciate you guys. I will see y'all back here tomorrow. Man, 3-hour mega show today. Lots to go clip up. A lot of content to get out there. Thank you, everybody. Y'all be blessed. Peace.